He gets up from the pool of fucking blood that from the bullet wound that he's had, or who knows, maybe he's working off a fucking fractured ankle. You know, maybe he fucking did fracture his ankle. No way in hell he did though, because look at what he does. No way in this fucker actually fractured his ankle, because if he did fracture his ankle, he wouldn't be able to do some shit like this. So look at this, man. So he dolphin jumps. He's hit up the suicide hotline 100%, because this dude's on suicide watch, because no one's doing a jump like this. From a moving train, you dolphin jump off of a moving train going 40 miles an hour. You dolphin jump off of a fucking train over a gate. Okay, let's see what happens. So he not only dolphin jumps over this gate from a moving train, he ends it with a fucking front flip / cartwheel. What is going on?
You can't do this. My men are still inside.
Do you have any idea why this is called Operation Dead Eyes?
Our hearts beat to the city street.
It's ridiculous you have made it this far. You won't be alive when they get here. So at least she's kind of acknowledging the fact that it's kind of fucking crazy that Max Payne has done this, right? Like, no human being could do this, which is another point to back the whole super soldier thing. Max Payne is a rogue fucking super soldier, bro. Max Payne is a rogue super soldier that I guess is working under the mercy of Alfred Wooden. I don't know.
Warning, the following video contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences. What you're about to hear and see in this film, some may find disturbing, disrespectful, and / or blasphemous. The use of profanity and derogatory verbal imagery will be used in segments of this video to describe personal experiences, hardships, and opinions. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, man. Max Payne, bruh. So, the thing is with Max Payne, if you buy Max Payne off of Steam, the game is broken. Currently with my setup, I can't seem to run Max Payne. The current state of the game is fucking broken on Steam. So, my recommendation for the game is just to completely wait for the remaster until they fix this shit, because Steam has done this shit too many times with different games, like Bully's an example as well. These games, they're completely fucking broken, completely unplayable. I couldn't get the game to fucking launch. I could not get the game to launch. I don't know why. These motherfuckers at Valve are selling a game that does not fucking work. It's just mind-boggling to me, man. I don't understand it. It's fucking retarded. And to be honest, is this game even still listed? Yeah. So Max Payne is currently listed for $10. Am I the only one going through this shit? I don't know how this is even possible. The game doesn't work without you having to tinker with it outside of the box. It took me like an hour to figure everything out. To actually get the launch menu open, it took me like an hour, alright? And Steam says I played the game for 44 minutes and I haven't even fucking launched the game. So that was just like another spit in the face by Steam, just to mock my ass. But I'm gonna give you the timestamps. So I was going through the forums and I was looking at everything, right? I thought I could fix it through tinkering with the files in the game. And I was messing with Task Manager. I was messing with the Steam's affinity sequence. Like this guy was going off about talking about how you have to just mess with the number of cores that Steam launches with, because the game doesn't function right with using multiple cores. So I tried that, it didn't work. I dived a little deeper and I figured out that this guy was saying you had to do additional things, right? He was talking about how you had to change the properties of the Max Payne executable, change the compatibility mode to run on Windows 98 and Windows Me, and then have it run as administrator. From there, everything should work. The game still didn't work. So I did more digging. After doing all that shit, having to change the administrator mode, having to change the compatibility of Windows, I got this exception in startup init directory / data not found. So messing with the executable didn't work the right way. There was another layer issue on top of that. So I did some more reading on that and read up on the forums where there was this guy, Zero Bomb, I guess. This dude, he ended up saying that, well, when that ends up happening, there seems to be a problem with Steam reading the file names, right? He posted this solution. I essentially did this solution. Essentially followed his directions, right? I went to the Steam apps and I changed Max Payne, the title of the Max Payne folder, to remove the space and make it just so it's Max Payne without the space. And then from there, I have to go to an additional folder in the Steam's app folder and changed the Max Payne installer ID folder, I guess, and changed one of the lines of code to remove the space between Max Payne to make it Max Payne just one word, so that Steam recognizes that folder has changed its ID. I did all that, tried running the game with all 3 of those edits, right? All 3 of those different forms of editing the game files, right? All that shit still didn't allow me to run the fucking game. I didn't want to have to download any mods or have to kind of go through a third party and download some form of software or download some form of some files off of some place. But I found one of these posts on Steam, highly reputable, right? The dude has a bunch of rewards. He has a bunch of comments, people praising this dude for solving the problem, right? Solving the issue. I had to download off of a third party site that this guy linked. They seemed trusted by the community, so I decided to trust it. Before installing this guy's patch to the game, I uninstalled Max Payne completely, work off like a clean slate, right? And then restart Steam, downloaded it, followed the installation path. I got the game to work. Let me see the exact fucking time frame, right? Of getting how long it took me to get this game to fucking launch, dude. So from the moment I wanted to play this game to the moment where I actually got the game to fucking launch, it took me 1 hour and 27 minutes to figure out actually if I could even play this fucking game. So this game shouldn't be on Steam. And massive shout out to that Steam post, man, or to that guy that posted that patch, because without that dude, this game would be completely unplayable. I was trying every edit under the sun, and I just couldn't get it to fucking work. The problem was probably having to do with, like, I guess drivers and shit or something. Yeah, massive shout out to this guy, because this dude right here, Dark J, and everybody else that's worked on this this patch and these fixes for the game.
Look, I'm underwater. Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock here. See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis!
They did a good job on the tutorial for the most part. The scene kind of opens up with you in front of this repair truck, and the game just essentially just teaches you with text above the character, teaching you how to move, how to shoot, how to use the bullet time. I really like the scene and the level that they had the tutorial in, where you kind of open up and you're in the city and it's snowing while the snow is like lightly falling down. You get to see a little bit of the aesthetics of the game. You see like the cars here with snow on them, and then they put down these buttons here where you can press and summon the enemies. They have a little phone booth in the tutorial section where you could use to refill your bullet time, but that has no relevance for the main game. When you play through the main game, the phone booths don't do jack shit. The only way for you to regenerate your bullet time is by just killing enemies throughout the game. The bullet time with the phone booth in the tutorial is a complete scam, right? It doesn't teach you jack shit. But I understand why they put it in there. They put it in there just to kind of give us that accessibility where you can just kind of learn the mechanics of the game. It's not that really a big deal. But then they have like another a button here where you can press summons enemies and you can end up just fighting the enemies at your own like leisure, right? And just practice. I really like the level they had the tutorial in. It really sets the tone for the game, what you're going to be playing. You know, you got cars here with the snow on them. You got the like light snow falling down, and you're kind of just navigating through this little city street here. You got these alleyways as well, and you just fight through a bunch of thugs, just learning the mechanics, learning how to shoot, learning about the bullet time, and really pleasant to play. It was really an enjoyment to play the tutorial. They did a good job in that tutorial. I like the comic book scenes and how they are structured. The casting of these characters here seemed like the devs wanted to be a part of the story. I didn't buy a lot of these characters because they just felt quirky and didn't fit the character of what they were saying under the circumstance they were in. The characters they casted for this game could have been better. However, the story is somewhat decent. I like the idea of having the comic book scenes. I just feel like the art style and the characters they decided to have portray, the faces they put with the characters didn't match the dialogue that what they were saying. I feel like the characters they chose for this game were pretty weak. Like these people here don't really, I don't buy a lot of these characters being a part of the DEA or a criminal. They just seemed very weak characters. They could have just diversified a little bit more with the casting of the characters. I feel like a lot of these characters just, I couldn't buy them being tough guys. Like a lot of these guys, they weren't rugged. Like every single one of these guys just seemed like a put together guy. Like they just seemed like a clean, well kept put together guy. They look like devs. The characters here look like actual devs. So I'm not a big fan of the characters they had cast into the game. If the character is saying something that is tough and it's articulated in a way where it's supposed to be like murderous and kind of like a criminal, I don't buy the person being a criminal. The face doesn't match the character. The face doesn't match the persona they're trying to put out there. They could have done a way better job with the casting. And I feel like that's the weakest link in the whole story. Just the casting and the art style, but I'm not a fan of the casting. Also, the art style, I feel like they could have put a little bit more effort into the art style, to be honest. I do think that that comic book type of idea, it was a good idea. I just feel like the implementation of it was not to its fullest potential. So one of the craziest things, in the first 1 minute of the game, I got bugged. I got trapped between a cabinet door and a cabinet. I literally got bugged in the first minute of playing the game. I couldn't go through more than a minute of the fucking game and I got bugged. One of the most craziest things about this game. So I got hard bugged here. I couldn't fucking reopen the cabinet door. I couldn't crouch. I couldn't manipulate my character out of this bug. I had to restart the whole game. So that's kind of crazy. I've never had an experience where I literally got hard bugged, where I was literally trapped, right? I could not progress. I could not manipulate my character to get out of this section of the game. I was fucking wedged between like 2 cabinets, and it's crazy, dude. I can't close the fucking cabinet door. It's crazy, man. Like, how is this even how is it possible that within a minute of a game you get fucking hard bugged to the point where you're fucking locked? You're hard locked out of the game. It's crazy, dude. So that actually kind of caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. The atmosphere of the murder scene at the beginning was well put together and felt mysterious, and it did feel like a murderous scene. They did a good job putting together the house and making it feel like it was actually Max's home. There was a good horror element with the background hums, TV static, and lighting that created the feeling that you were living a nightmare or a horror film. This beginning section is so strong in the game, and later on you'll come back and relive the memories of this place. The storytelling in this game via the level design is amazing, okay? And they really open up hard with that. This section here is so strong. The housing, how the house is laid out, the structure, the atmosphere, everything feels like you're living in a house in the 2000s. They did an amazing job with this house. The atmosphere was on point. Dead baby. There goes the child support. For some reason, I was just thinking I got baptized feelings. I don't know. I was like a baby being baptized or something. So, I don't know. I don't know. The baby being shown dead kind of caught me off guard. A lot of games don't show that level of detail of a baby dying. So that kind of did catch me off guard because I wasn't expecting to see a baby dead in a video game. I mean, they did it not necessarily completely graphic. There's blood. You know, they're showing the arm and the outline of the baby dead. It's covered up. Hey, man, it's good world development, man. It's good for building the atmosphere and you're like, holy shit, you know, we're actually a part of a murder scene. I mean, it was a good scene. I felt for the kid. I felt for Max. I felt like I was living through Max's family getting slaughtered, you know, pretty crazy. But that was a good, strong scene. Like, that was a strong, atmospheric building scene. This scene right here, the scene where Max finds his wife dead. Watch this, man.
No!
Does that sound like someone that just found his wife murdered? Does that sound like someone that found his wife murdered? This is fucking... Whoever casted this guy... Hold up, man. I gotta listen to this shit again, dude.
No!
That has to be the worst scream of murder I've ever heard in my life. These motherfuckers did such a bad job on some of these casting lines. Like, the emotion. Zero fucking emotion. Like, this fucker is like a part of a school play or something, dude. Put some emotion into this shit, man. Who scripted this shit? Who heard back that audio and was like, yeah, man, that shit right there, that's believable. That dude really sounded like his wife just got murdered. Fucking terrible. Terrible fucking script reading, bro. Like, have some imagination and actually try to live through this shit, man. You're sounding like some dude that just... This shit sounds like something from out of The Simpsons, where like Homer finds like the dog shitting on the carpet or something, and he just cleaned the carpet.
You've just discovered a comment.
Some of these casting lines, man, the people that directed this cast and the people for them to read the script, it's so bad. Put some emotion behind some of this shit, man. And like, if I find out like this motherfucker right here, like this is probably like the main dev, and he was just like, you know what, man, I'm gonna cast myself as the protagonist. I'm gonna carry this shit. I'm gonna really carry this shit. I'm gonna cast myself as the protagonist. We got this, man. And then he pulls some shit like this, where it's just like, bro, how the fuck did you rehear this or like watch this or listen to this and was like, dude, that right there, that's fucking S tier acting. That's fucking S tier script writing. Because that shit is fucking dog shit, man. This is fucking dog. They should have done at least a double or triple take of this, because this is one of the worst screams of murder I've ever heard in a serious context in a video game. Yeah, it's fucking bad. The casting. People that decided to do this cast, like whoever was the oversight for this casting for this game, did a fucking terrible job. I could find a homeless dude on the side of the goddamn curb in the middle of Los Angeles that could run a casting audition better than the fucking people that did this job, okay? Better than the fucking devs, man. I do not like the casting for this game, man. The lines are terrible. The lines are dog shit. There are a couple good lines out there here and there. Strong opening, you know, the story is somewhat decent. It's the characters that are the problem. The characters are the problem. The faces don't match the lines, and the lines are bad. The faces don't match the characters. The lines don't match the face, and then you got shit like this, where this dude's screaming like he just shat himself in the middle of the living room. It's just like, it's crazy, man. Like, I don't know what to make out of this. It's like, am I watching parody or am I supposed to take this shit serious? After the scene where his wife dies, I feel like Max Payne is one of the original John Wicks, you know? Classic John Wick story. Obviously, John Wick wasn't the first type of person doing that type of family gets slaughtered, or, you know, dog gets slaughtered or some shit. But same premise, you know, family gets slaughtered, and this cop or detective kind of like goes out there and tries to hunt down the killers. But I feel like Max Payne kind of shares some similarities with John Wick. You know, got the tragedy story, loved one dies, and then he's on this quest to kind of like search for the people that killed the family. After his wife dies, he switches to like a different department, being more involved in tracking down people that are selling drugs. He gets a tip. He goes undercover to seek out this big drug deal that's gonna happen. Big trafficking deal that's gonna happen. He's trying to work towards figuring out who is trafficking this drug, this Valkyr drug that's like tearing apart all these people's mental. Like, listen to this shit. I have a problem. Look, man, there's something wrong with some of these statements. I don't know, like, the feeling hit me like a point blank shot straight in the face. I get it, they're like, guess they're taking some of these casting lines out of a comic book, but who says some shit like that? Like, the feeling hit me like a point blank shot straight in the face. You get shot straight in the face, how are you even feeling anything? You're fucking dead. Like, who says some shit like, oh man, I felt like I was getting shot in the face? No one's here gotten shot in the face. Like, let me hear this line.
Outside, the mercury was falling fast. It was colder than the devil's heart, raining ice pitchforks as if the heavens were ready to fall.
Outside, the mercury was falling fast. It was colder than the devil's heart. The mercury is falling fast? He means the snow? Raining ice pitchforks as if the heavens were ready to fall. Okay? The feeling hit me like a point blank shot straight in the face. Who says that type of line? I don't know, like, so many different type of lines they could have used. And I get it, they're trying to pull it off from the comics, but, man, like, who the fuck says, man, I felt like I got shot in the face? You're fucking dead. You can't feel how, like, there's just a bunch of lines in this game that I feel like a little just too out of place, that are kind of sprinkled throughout the whole game, that are just a little awkward. They're just a little out of place and have you thinking, like, what the fuck did I just hear? Like, you start thinking to yourself, like, man, you start not to actually think about the plot. You start to think about, like, dissecting the dialogue. Like, what does this dialogue even mean? It's like this fucker speaking in poems. Like, he's trying to speak in haiku. And it's just, some of these lines catch me off guard. Like, this guy is speaking metaphorically with an extra layer. It caught me off guard, man, to be honest. So the subway opening scene, very strong. When you first start in the subway, it's good, strong introduction. Like, the level design in this game is very well done. Okay, like this subway introduction here, throughout the whole game, the level design is top notch, man. It's good level design, man. They tell a story through the level, you know, really fluid, really no hiccups at all. Throughout the whole game, there aren't any hiccups. You're not really double backing. It's a fluid progress. You flow through the level with little storytelling here and there. Nothing crazy either. Nothing that really goes into depth, unlike the damn fucking dialogue in the game. The level design is very fluid, one-dimensional, very linear. Kill the bad guys, move forward with the level. And the combat within the game, even on the default difficulty, when you first play this game, all the other difficulties are locked, and the normal difficulty is challenging. I found myself dying a lot of the time and having to kind of readjust my play style throughout the game. And it was very enjoyable to actually try to tackle these enemies at a different angle or with a different gun. And they did a very good job balancing this game for the most part and having it be like a challenge, you know? So, you know, you move through the subway. He doesn't even inform the fucking cops, the NYPD, that he's undercover. And he just opens himself to being fucking shot at and blasted by the police. You know, like, I don't understand this shit, right?
We come to you now live from the crime scene.
Who is this?
Right back at you.
This is Deputy Chief Jim Bravura from the NYPD. You are to cease your criminal activities and surrender immediately.
Sure thing, Jim. Me and the boys have been talking and everyone's real sorry. They'll never do it again.
Who the hell is this?
Being placed at the scene of a bank robbery wouldn't have tipped the odds in my favor.
If you're undercover, then you kind of lead the police on saying, like, fuck you. I don't know, man. I would think that, like, if you're working with the police, if you're undercover working for the DEA and then you find yourself stumbling on a bank robber situation, you get a fucking phone call for the cops. He ends up saying, oh, being placed at a crime scene won't really tip the odds in my favor. But I don't know. I'm not a really big fan of just, you know, leading the cops on like that for no fucking apparent reason when you're undercover and you kind of open yourself to get fucking blasted because you're now essentially a part of robbing this bank. So Alex and BB were the only contacts that he had in the DEA since he infiltrated the gang, the mafia, right? So he gets a tip that a drug trafficking event's gonna come down, infiltrates the mafia, he's undercover. Essentially, the only contacts that he had were BB and Alex since he was undercover. And then, okay, this is the scene right here, yep. Let's break down this scene real quick. So you plant the C4 on this door, and then you explode the door open, right? Door comes flying off and goes in this cool slow-mo animation and hits the back of a wall, right? Badass scene, you know? And then this guy comes up, let's see what happens.
Hold it! Max, Jesus, you almost gave me a heart attack. I nearly shot you.
Alex, I'm glad to see you.
What the hell's going on? There are more corpses here than at the city morgue.
It's an armed robbery, a tunnel job straight to the Roscoe Bank vault through the old station wall. Is this why? This is Lupino's gig?
This is Lupino's doing? Lupino's men? Really?
You sure know how to pick a place? Can you get through?
No, it's locked. We gotta get out of here. If it's Lupino, it's... Alex? Alex!
There was nothing I could do. He was dead. I could tell by the empty, accusing stare of his eyes.
Whoa. Pull that back, man. Turn that back real quick.
There are more corpses here than at the city morgue.
It's an armed robbery, a tunnel job straight to the Roscoe Bank vault through the old station wall. Is this why? This is Lupino's gig?
This is Lupino's doing? Lupino's men? Really?
You sure know how to pick a place? Can you get through?
No. It's locked. We gotta get out of here. If it's Lupino... It's...
The NYPD was closing in. I could hear their sirens. Their wail was a crescendo. Nobody talks like this, man. If they wanted it to be like comedic, they did a great job at that. If this wasn't meant to be serious, they did a great job. But a lot of these scenes here, dude, the choice of characters, the art style is questionable, and the lines have me double thinking a lot of it. Like, look at this. Look at that troll face. And then look at the guys that they're portraying as the thugs that are running this hotel that is used for prostitution. Hey, look at these guys here, man. Like, I'm supposed to believe that these two guys here operate this place. I don't know, man. I just don't I don't buy it. Bro.
That kind of depends on who's asking. A friend or a junk squad plan. Don't answer. It's one of them, how do you put it, rhetorical questions.
The way this guy's talking, he's talking like an Italian thug back in the 1980s or some shit. And he's been slinging drugs his whole life. Listen to the voice. Listen to the tone. It doesn't match this guy's face, man. It doesn't match this guy's face. This sounds like some back alley fucking Italian thug that's like dirty and been in the gutter. And then you have this guy right here, fucking clean, a clean shaven, well put together dude that looks like a fucking dev. I just don't buy it, man. I don't fucking buy any of this, bro. I'm sorry, man. The transition between levels in this game did an amazing job with the level design, setting up the atmosphere for the levels, setting up the transitions between the levels, moving from the city to the hotel, moving from the subway to the city. They did a really good job with the transitions. It does feel like you're kind of like living a part of the city, like you're living a part of New York, right? The level design is superb in this game. I was always curious. I was always having an amazing time playing the levels in this game. Really fluid. The enemy placement's really fluid. And it's just, you feel like a badass. Like you really do feel like you're a badass fighting thugs. You just feel like you're Max Payne. Like you're Max Payne, you're John Wick, kind of on this adventure, blowing through everything in your way. I just want to give cred one more time to the level design. They did an amazing job, especially here in this hotel level. This level here was amazingly done. An enjoyment to play. It was a good experience, man. And it does feel like a prostitute house. Like it does feel like, oh, this place is a house being ran by thugs. They're just slinging drugs and running a prostitution ring. It was kind of funny that they put in the vibration beds to kind of play into the whole prostitute house, like a whorehouse. You got the heart above the bed. You got the little button here that you can press that vibrates the bed. Obviously there to be used by the customers at the prostitution house. So I thought that was really funny. Like stuff like this, these little things here add a good like world building element to the game. And then you have these posters here that are like lewdly dressed women on the walls. Have these like nude magazines on the floor, the TVs. You have these junkies in the bathroom stalls, kind of getting high on Valkyr, the Valkyr drug, and looking at magazines. They're kind of like just tripping out in the fetal position, kind of hallucinating, talking to themselves like a schizo. Good world building element. You really do feel like this drug is sporadic throughout the game. They'll have it on a shelf or they'll have it on the table, and you'll see it in higher doses too in these briefcases where the drug deals are happening. So really cool. I really do like the addition of these the junkies in the game. Really adds a solid world building element. Does an amazing job with building the world within the levels. Like the level designing of the world tells the story of the city, and it does an amazing job. Brutally slain. I mean, that's questionable, man. He got shot once. I don't know, man. That dude could be playing possum for all we know, man. That's another thing here. I found like it's like secret door. Go through the window, and then you can kind of walk on the ledge of the balcony. And then you can interact with this other barred up wooden door. Break it open, and then you'll find this guy here with a stake in his back and the word buff and a gun. Oh, you can see the Valkyr drug right there as well. Yeah, he has a stake in the back. Yeah, this is like a Buffy of the Vampire Slayer Easter egg. I came through this Easter egg organically. I didn't like kind of look anything up, but this is a pretty cool Easter egg. So you end up stumbling on this diary from a hooker, and you end up reading it, and it just turns out that she's been selling these porn tapes. Yeah, these little scenes here where you can interact with the TV and the diary, these pieces of paper, they are really good at building the world of the game. It helps establish the feel of the game. The game feels alive. You have Max reading all these things as a inner dialogue, talking to himself about what he's reading. It really allows you to pierce into the world of the game. These little things here make the game feel alive. You open up this cabinet here and you can find a secret room where she's recording everything, and then you can see the little camera here as well. So I thought this was a little cool addition. Diary says that she's been filming secret tapes of her clients and then kind of selling them. And then you find this room where she has all the VHS tapes and the camera recording everything through the wall. This room here and things like this add a very great depth. It makes the game feel complete the whole way through. When you enter these rooms, you can hear thugs talking. You can kind of peer into their way of thinking. They're over here having a discussion about cops over whiskey. Like, these are just normal NPCs, right? These are just normal enemies, normal thugs. These little scenes here add such a great feel to the game.
It was freaking crazy. The cops were doing a full-scale siege next. Get up!
Then you end up finding a bat next to this guy that's gotten beaten to fucking death. Let's talk about the weapons right now. So in this game, they give you a pipe to start off with as a melee weapon that you never use besides to break boxes. And then they give you a baseball bat. There was really no purpose for these melee weapons in this game. I never used them to kill anything. If I did using it, just for gimmick, just to see what it was gonna do. But the melee weapons in this game serve really no purpose whatsoever. And then we can talk about the other weapons as well. I didn't like that how in this game there were a lot of weapons that kind of were completely worthless to even use, that were just kind of there just to take up spots. Like the individual pistol, so you get the Desert Eagle, the dual pistols, and then just a normal pistol. And I guess the normal pistol that is there just to conserve ammo. Really don't know why they decided to give us this choice to choose between using 2 pistols and 1 pistol. There were no circumstances where I chose to use just 1 pistol or 1 SMG in this whole game. So you get dual pistols and you get dual MSGs. Under no circumstance did I ever use any of those weapons. I never used a single pistol. I never used a single SMG. So it's just there, just kind of just taking up spot. They kind of just allowed us to have that ability without really any purpose. The game really didn't need that. The same can be said about this bat here. The game really didn't need to give us a bat on top of a pipe, but they just did for I don't know what reason. It just really lacks any real purpose. It just really lacks any utilization at all. And then the same thing can be said about the shotguns in the game. They give you a sawed-off shotgun and then they give you a pump-action shotgun. I couldn't really distinguish which was stronger out of the two, the sawed-off or the pump-action. From my play of the game, it seemed like the sawed-off just had less range and the pump-action could snipe people across the map. The pump-action was just as good as the sawed-off, took the same amount of damage but just had more range and more DPS because you can get off more shots instead of having to rely only on 2 shots. So the sawed-off really served no purpose in the game as well. I didn't really find it useful because I couldn't really distinguish the damage differential. I couldn't really distinguish whether or not the sawed-off was stronger than the pump action. I tested both over and over again. It seemed like to me they were just literally taking the same exact damage, except with the sawed-off just having less range and less ammo. Once I started to realize that the pump action was taking almost the same amount of damage, if not the same damage as the sawed-off, and that the pump action had more range, I just stopped using the sawed-off completely. And there was another shotgun that you get later on throughout the game that kind of shoots sporadically, but it uses a different ammo, so I guess it's kind of understandable that they give it to you. But I feel like the diversification of the weapons in this game, they gave us a little too much. They kind of just gave us everything on the plate when really they could have cut a half of the guns down in this game and the game would be completely fine without those guns. They could have cut the weapons down by half in this game and the game would be perfect. It would be perfect, it would be great, but they decided to give us everything, and by doing that it just makes the UI feel cluttered. So in really no circumstance would you really use the single pistol over the dual pistol, and there's really no circumstance would you use the single SMG over the dual SMG. The ammo in this game is abundant. For most of the time you can keep on shuffling through different weapons. I just don't like how they kind of gave everything to us like this. They could have cut it down in half. They could have cut the weapons down to half and the game would be perfect. You come across this drug deal going down where they have these suitcases on the table and talking over a deal. You have to fight all these guys and get rid of them. Once you get rid of them, you can open up the briefcases and actually see the amount of money inside the briefcase. You can open up this other briefcase right here and then see the Valkyrie inside. It's pretty cool that they added that ability into the game. And then they have these like the key here as well. Another thing that I thought was pretty neat was that over any of the items that you needed to progress through the game, anything that would spark kind of like progression through the story, it would put like a gray exclamation point above your head to help you know that, oh, this is a key element to moving forward with the game. So I like that kind of guidance. Yeah, very subtle form of guidance, but it adds a great deal of kind of understanding what you're supposed to be doing. You have this restroom here. Come into the restroom and you end up seeing these posters here with 555 puss. I think it's kind of funny because you are in a whorehouse, right? So it's just good world building elements in the game. Solid world building elements, if you know what I mean. This is a funny ass section right here. You go into this bar and you're tracking down one of these bosses, right? You're tracking down one of these, a kingpin, like one of the kingpins.
Two mad dog killers, ready to murder each other. They step into the next room, and I'm thinking, now they're gonna do it. But no. They sit down in front of a TV and solve their differences with the Kung Fu fighting video game. I tell you, Candy, I was so depressed, I strangled them both with the video game cables.
Oh, Rico, you're so bad.
I am, ain't I?
Good world building elements, man. This game right here, like this scene right here, if they just did the casting better, man, like if they just chose the right faces and they've worked on the art a little bit, like could have kept the art style the same, but just give better faces. And this shit is funny as heck, dude. This is just funny as hell. Does that guy look like his name is Rico? Be honest. Be fucking honest, man. Does he look like a Rico? In your whole life, have you ever seen anybody with the name Rico that looked like this motherfucker, man? Have you ever met a chick that looked like that saying, oh, Rico, you're so bad? Dude, this is so bullshit. I am, ain't I? This does not look like a Rico, bro. Like, this is not a Rico. So, you know, you walk up on Rico here and he's getting blown. Now you gotta blast him. It was a funny scene. Like that scene there, like this game, the story elements are there. This is just me being critical on the game, okay? The game does a good job with the story, okay? It does a decent job. It just, for me, like me being critical, I see the holes, I see the flaws. It's not as polished as it could have been. I still think it's funny. Like, this is a funny ass scene, right? Like, this is a funny ass scene. Max is in this hotel looking for Lupino, the guy that killed Alex, the DEA agent that he was partnered with. You stumble on one of his henchmen getting fucking blown, right? It's funny, like funny little interaction right here, man. Fight him in the bar. It's a pretty tough battle as well. He has a couple of henchmen in there. You have to end up killing the girl too. You have to end up fighting the girl and his henchmen in the room. And then afterwards, you can find him laying on the ground with his shorts down. Yeah, so once you kill him, you can see him like laying on the ground with his boxers, all dead. He has this like little inner dialogue moment where he ends up talking about how he's the new virus.
Boss, Cornelia, this Max Payne. Game started capitalist. He killed him.
Are you freaking kidding me? He's just one lousy cop. You better be freaking kidding me. Whack him. What's the freaking problem? Hello? Answer me. Hello?
The word was out. A deadly virus released into the city's corrupt circulatory system. Something wicked this way comes. Max Payne at large.
I get it. They're trying to like pull from the comics. It's just, I don't know, man. I wasn't really a big fan of these fucking moments, man, to be honest. They move forward to the club. There's like these little slot machines that you can interact with. More posters on the bathroom walls. Then there's like this little casino inside of the club. Yeah, you also got this tower here with the words "Welcome to New York" on it, with a 2 instead of the words 2. Funny, I didn't know that. I didn't see that until now. What the hell are these fucking audio? Man, like, look at this.
The headlines were screaming bloody murder. The storm was a screaming duet with the approaching prowl car sirens.
Like, these guys are really not afraid This game, like the storm was a screaming duet with the approaching prowl car sirens. Like this game is not afraid of using metaphors over and over again. Very rarely is the dialogue in this game one-dimensional. They really love using metaphors in this shit. They're really trying to create like a form of poetry out of these dialogues, and it's really not necessary. Like the use of metaphors in this game, they kind of went overboard in my opinion. I was playing this game and at points I'd just be brain dead, kind of just like going through the motions, and then I'll end up hearing some of these metaphor references. I really have to end up double backing in my mind and going, what the hell did I just hear? What the fuck was that? Like the storm was a screaming duet with the approaching prowl car sirens. Most of the time I wasn't really ready for the metaphoric use of a lot of these words, and it kind of caught me off guard. Most of the time it caught me off guard. I wasn't a big fan of it. And then you can interact with these gas tanks. It's like kind of like a little puzzle that you have played throughout the game with these little gas tanks where you have to shoot these gas tanks in a particular way where you don't get killed. Little neat puzzles here and there. Then you interact with more junkies. The game kind of spreads out a lot of homeless junkies. Seeing the homeless kind of hunkering around like a fire in a barrel really adds to the atmosphere of the city. Like, listen to this shit, man. What in the I'm listening to this right now as a double take. Okay, look guys, I'm re-listening to a lot of this dialogue, okay? Just skimming through the game just to see, kind of piece it apart, right? And I'm listening to this piece here where he gets called by like this, he gets this like this mysterious call from somebody, right? Let's listen to this.
A beaten up phone in the entrance hall was ringing. It could have been just a junkie in need of a fix, but it turned out to be something more sinister than that.
Am I speaking to Mr. Payne?
Who wants to know?
My name is Alfred Wooden. You must hurry. The police are on their way.
Tell me something I don't know.
They know you're there.
How? And what's it to you?
I will contact you again.
How the fuck is it that Max Payne is properly positioned in some of these apartments, in some of these locations, and then he gets the fucking phone call that he needs? How the fuck did this guy even know he was even here to begin with? Guess he's hiding in the apartment, he's hiding in the walls, and he has cameras everywhere, and he can't see where Max Payne is. So he gets this call from Alfred Wooden, who I don't know how the fuck this guy knew he was there at that given time. It's like kind of like a needle in a haystack type of situation, unless this dude is like has cameras posted everywhere and he knows exactly where Max is, and he can kind of like just pinpoint the calls, right? But then again, he ends up saying, "Am I speaking to Mr. Payne?" Like he doesn't know he's talking to Mr. Payne. So it's whatever.
The cops arrived, sirens singing in the off-key harmony of a manic-depressive choir.
Listen to that shit. Listen to those metaphors, bro. We're going through this like monotone conversation over a phone to some introspective inner dialogue where this dude is literally trying to write poetry, dude. It's fucking crazy, man. The cops arrive, sirens singing in the off-key harmony of a manic depressive choir. I had a few minutes while the SWAT team would go through the usual routine, but the time they busted in, I needed to be long gone. Man, how do you go from having this like monotone conversation, back and forth, one-dimensional conversation, to like some metaphoric poetry, dude? Like they'll just sprinkle these metaphoric sentences, and it's just so, it catches me off guard, man.
They stole it from us. Sneaky little hobbitses. Wicked, crazy.
There's a really cool part right here where you have to get a hold of one of these druggies or homeless people in this like abandoned apartment and have them kind of help you get into the laundry room. So that was pretty cool. I'm finding all the gang members in there.
No, don't shoot.
You know the clowns at the laundry?
Me? No.
You're no good to me then.
What? No, the laundry, yeah. I know him, yeah.
Get me in there.
Okay. It's me. Open up. Let me in, quick.
Not so fast. The password. John Woo.
Come on. Okay, John Woo.
All right. Come right in.
It's a trap! It's Payne!
And then you kind of stumble on this money laundering kind of operation going down where they have printers and they're printing money by the sheets. So that was pretty cool. The level building in this game, the environmental and story building in the game via the levels is amazing. And then there's like this little funny table here where everybody has a royal flush. That was pretty funny. There's 4 hands. Each person has a royal flush in their hand. All the same suit, so they're all cheating. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, the elevator music, this is some pretty good elevator music. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty chill elevator music right here. No TP in the restroom. So this little interaction right here where you knock on this door and he's in the restroom taking a dump. So that was funny where you like can get this guy out of the restroom. Once you go into the restroom, there's no TP or sink, so it's like, how did you wipe your ass and how did you wash your hands? How the hell did you wash your hands, man? No TP and no sink. There's another funny moment here where you can see that these guys are watching this horror film. Like it foreshadows that they're being watched. You're watching them watch the TV. So that this little TV interaction is pretty funny.
I don't want to go there. It's the last place I'd want to end up. But that's where I always end up anyway. Only it's not me talking to the pink flamingo, but someone who looks the part down to the finest detail, except that he's evil. I'm hiding in the shadows, watching it all unfold. The flamingo speaks, and you can speak here. It says, "Mirrors are more fun than television." That's, mirrors are more fun than television. Somehow I know this, just don't ask me how. And I, not me, but my double, nods and smirks at this like it was the funniest thing in the world. And then something goes wrong, and suddenly they know I'm there, hiding behind them, and they both turn to look at me with cold eyes. And the flamingo speaks again. I have no idea what that means. And that's when I always wake up to my own scream in that brightly lit white hospital room, strapped to my bed.
Just dissect this real quick. Just listen to this, man.
Vinny got needy. Just the man I've been killing to see.
Payne? Freaking fed! I knew from day one there was something screwy about you. What do you think you're doing? You're a freaking cop. You ain't got squad on us. You can't just come in here waving your piece like it meant something. Yeah! Oh my God! Oh God, you shot me! Ah!
After you end up shooting this guy, he ends up making a run for it, right? And then he has his goons kind of try to take care of you. You know, you end up killing the goons, you move forward, and you essentially just try to track this guy down. Yeah, this is something else, man. There's no way this dude lives this jump. Okay, watch this real quick. Let's watch this. No fucking way that dude lives that jump, bro. No fucking way. He's already like working off being shot, right? He jumps. He doesn't even jump from a one-story building. He jumps from the roof to a train. Look at that distance, dude. Look, hold on. Look at this distance. So he goes airborne. He gets a running start, jumps. You see that shit? He does like some shit out of Naruto, dude. Dude, he easily clears. What is that? That's like 20 feet, bro. That's like 20, 25 feet in the air. Boom! Snap goes the ankles. 100% he'd break his ankles there, dude. Like you can even see he fucking like lands. He lands ankles first. Like that shit's nothing, dude. No way this guy's surviving this jump. In my opinion, he's not walking after this jump, man. He twists his ankles would be all busted open. This dude be in a wheelchair for the next 2 years, dude. Those ankles are done. Those things are brittled. Completely fractured. Turned to breadcrumbs, dude. Those ankles are turned to breadcrumbs, bro. this dude ain't walking after this. But then like Max Payne, he decides to make the jump too. No way in hell I'm doing this jump. If I saw some dude do that shit, man, if I saw this dude do that shit, no way in hell you would see me try to do that jump. I'd be like, that dude's gone. I either be like, that dude's dead. I could be like, look, this guy's ankle's busted open. I gotta kind of like track down this train, kind of see where this train goes at. Probably look up like, okay, where the route of this train is going, and then kind of like follow the route or whatever and see if I can find like some bloodstains in the concrete and like kind of track his ass down. But from my perspective, I'm not making that jump. I'm looking at a way to get the fuck out of this place and tracking this dude down on the train tracks. I ain't looking to make the same jump he made. That shit, he's suicidal, bro. He's fucking suicidal if he did that jump. Like, no way in hell you see me do the jump like that. These goddamn motherfucking metaphors, bro.
This was my second train ride of the night. The way it started didn't promise anything better than the last one. Freezing wind tearing at my face like sandpaper and razors, ice hard and slick under my hands and feet. And somewhere in the background, the wail of sirens, the city howling after me.
Freezing winds tearing at my face like sandpaper and razors, ice hard and slick under my hands and feet. Okay, like, see that one right there, those two sentences right there, they're all right, you know, like that box of text, it's all right. And then somewhere in the background, a wail of sirens, the city howling after me. I don't know, man. He just, there he goes again. Max Payne, there he goes again, dude. You know, going through his poetry session. Like, look at this, man. This guy's a fucking lunatic, man. This guy's a fucking lunatic, man. No way in hell anybody's doing this in real life, man. I don't even care. Like, look at this jump. So he gets up from the pool of blood that he's just chilling on, and then he decides to jump. Dude, that is crazy, man. Who does that? Who's like, okay, you know what? I survived harmless a fucking 20-foot jump after clearing 6 feet myself. 72 inches vertical jump. Dude, this dude is like a fucking world-class vertical jumper, man. Percent of the world that can clear a vertical jump of 72 inches. So this guy's obviously trained his whole life to do this shit, dude. So this dude's in the gym hitting vertical jumps like that shit's nothing. Probably dunking left and right. You know, ex-NBA player or some shit. Ex-volleyball player. Like, this guy, obviously, he knows exactly what he's doing, because look at this. Nobody does this type of shit, right? So off of a train moving I don't know how many miles per hour. So look at this jump here, dude. So he decides, okay, you know what? This is where I'm going to get off. He gets up from the pool of fucking blood that from the bullet wound that he's had. Or who knows? Maybe he's working off a fucking fractured ankle. You know, maybe he fucking did fracture his ankle. No way in hell he did, though, because look at what he does. No way in this fucker actually fractured his ankle, because if he did fracture his ankle, he wouldn't be able to do some shit like this. So look at this, man. So he dolphin jumps. He's hit up the suicide hotline 100%, because this dude's on suicide watch, because no one's doing a jump like this. Fucking from a moving train, you dolphin jump off of a moving train going 40 miles an hour. You dolphin jump off of a fucking train over a gate. Okay, let's see what happens. So he not only dolphin jumps over this gate from a moving train, he ends it with a fucking front flip / cartwheel. What is going on? So he not only front flips, he closes it with like a fucking 180 cartwheel, dude. Mid-air, lands, ankles first, untouched, unscathed, unharmed, only from the bullet wound he received from Max Payne when they first encountered, dude.
Yeah! Oh my god! Oh god, you shot me! Ah!
This dude is a fucking god. This guy's a living god. This dude's fucking Captain America in disguise or something, dude, because this shit's crazy, dude. No human being should be able to do a feat like what he just did. This dude, if I was Max Payne, I just let this guy be, man, because there's no way in hell you're catching some dude that can do this after being shot in the stomach. Let alone, if he wasn't shot in the stomach doing this type of shit, he'd be a specimen on his own. But the thing is that he's working off of being shot in the goddamn gut and doing this like that bullet wound has done jack shit to him. Max Payne should be feeling the fear of God. He should have the fear of God in his eyes, because this dude right here is not working alone. This dude probably sold his soul to Satan. He clears that jump like it meant nothing. You know, he ends up, you know, holding his gut, walking away. Not limping. He's not limping. He's just holding his gut, kind of like walking away. Max Payne is right behind him on another train. Oddly paced training schedule going on here, but all right. Max Payne decides to do the same exact thing in the same exact fashion. Dolphin dive, front flip cartwheel. These guys are just specimens of their own, man. No human being could do a feat like this and survive, man. I don't give a fuck if you weigh less than 100 pounds, you ain't doing something like this and walking away scot-free. Their momentum alone would fucking snap your ankles, bro. You kind of like jumping in that fashion and landing sideways like that would probably snap your fucking ankles. You hit the side of your head on the fucking concrete and probably just be passed out right there, being left to the homeless, wandering the premise, wandering the rooftops. Bravo on Max Payne doing this as well, because obviously we're not obliging to any form of real physics here, because if we did, this dude would probably be dead right now. So, you know, Max Payne ended up following this dude. Let's see. Okay, that long, awkward pause. What the fuck? Hold up. This is real time. So I don't know what happened there. So he sees Max Payne, ends up shooting at Max Payne, and then we go through this like awkward pause here where he kind of stares down the barrel, goes through this facial animation where he's like kind of gritting his teeth, kind of in pain, kind of just shooting, and then he has a fucking ego shift, stops firing, goes through a long awkward pause, contemplates his fucking insanity because he's just jumped off of a roof, and then he makes a fucking run for it. So probably what happened here was that he was probably going through some form of inner computation. You know, he's probably doing the math in his head, what actually just went down, because Max Payne just cleared the jump, the same jump he did, which no human being would really do in their right mind, or can do if they were actually a human being. It's probably come to the conclusion that, you know what, this fucker is just like me. He's inhuman. He's probably sold his soul to Satan as well, and he's probably, you know what, like, oh, I shouldn't be shooting this dude alone here, because this dude here is like my equal, right? Because he just cleared the same jump I did, and I sold my soul to Satan to do that shit, and he probably just did the same thing. He makes a beeline for it, which he rightfully should do, because, you know, these dudes are defying the fucking laws of physics. I really like that how they added the helicopters into the game. You end up seeing the helicopters in the sky. They don't shoot at you or anything like that. You see me here kind of like shooting at the police. You can't destroy the helicopter, but it's kind of there just there to add to the story and the atmosphere of the level design. It was a really good addition to the game to add the helicopter kind of like floating around, looking at you and stuff.
It's Payne! He's coming down the stairs! Shoot the bastard!
Okay, boss, you got it.
No problem.
Man, finally, some tough enemies. Wait, what? And then, you know, you make your way through the apartment, and then you go into this back alleyway. They did a really good job with all these additional elements into the game. The level design in this game is, like I said, again, it's superb. You know, you end up fighting these thugs, and you have to fight them through a alleyway where there's a basketball court. You really do feel like you're in New York, like you're in the alleyways of New York, and you have to fight these thugs. So amazing job. You have a cop in a crate here. That's kind of interesting. You fight your way through this construction site. Through his sunglasses, you can see the hatred. Yeah, the way they would reintroduce the drug deal scenes throughout the game kind of acted as a good checkpoint by allowing you to kind of remember the enemies that you're fighting aren't just enemies, they're drug dealers. It was a good kind of reflection point for the plot. It added a lot to the atmosphere. Very fluid level transitions. The level transitions were beautifully done. You feel like you are traveling through the apartment rooftops. You feel like you're a part of the city. This is another scene here where we're in the restroom and you can hear the thugs talking in the background.
He's coming. I can hear him. Ready? Keep your guns pointed at the door. Okay, this is it. Any moment now, Payne's gonna bust through that door with murder in his eye. It's either him or us. I, for one, am gonna pump the SOB so full of lead, they'll need a forklift to carry the coffin to the grave. Get up!
Through the whole game, there were a lot of instances where they would add these conversations between the thugs that felt genuine and immersive for the game. It really added to the atmosphere of the levels. Throughout the game, there would be these scripted grenade throws that would happen. Most of the time, the enemies would be shooting at you with a different array of guns. And occasionally, there would be these precise points in levels where there would be these grenade throws done by thugs. They would throw the grenade at the same exact spot in these strategic areas. He would hit a back of a wall or be be thrown down a flight of stairs, so you kind of have to backtrack and duck and move to cover because the grenade was strategically thrown. It was scripted by the devs in these locations. I really did enjoy that. I had to reload saves whenever I died or took too much damage and wanted to retry the section, and the grenade would hit the same exact spot, always. I had to play the same sections over, so I got to see that it was a scripted event. The grenade throw felt natural and well placed. It added a lot to the gameplay, making it feel more thematic.
Open, goddammit! Payne! I'll kill you, you lousy freak!
I like how they handled the boss fights, where you kind of just have to chase the mob boss down, fight through a bunch of thugs, and then have a gunfight with the mob boss. I like how they didn't over-exaggerate the fights and tried to do something fancy with like a sequence or something. I like how they just allowed us to have a normal fight with the boss. It allowed me to stay planted into the game by not having to change my tempo and solve a puzzle.
You can't just hurt me in cold blood?
You're just another rat down the sewer, bro.
Your rights will be ready at your funeral.
Okay, that was a pretty good line right there. That was a good line. I like that line. I always feel like Max Payne is kind of always going off doing a Batman line or something. Like how Batman is in the comics, like the old comics, where Batman would just be going off.
You don't get it, son. This isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table.
I get that feeling from Max Payne with these metaphoric lines all the time. Max Payne threatens Gognitti, and he tells us where Lupino is, the guy that is responsible for the death of Alex, Max Payne's DEA partner. And now we go to Ragnarok. Yeah, this level right here, Ragnarok, was pretty well done. Like, I really did enjoy playing this level. Really immersive. They did an amazing job with designing the nightclub here. It really did feel like it was a nightclub. So you work your way through this nightclub and you stumble on all these little things, like this notebook here, and these demonic ritual style signs on the dance floor of the club. Max Payne kind of pieces it together himself that the owner is probably not all there, because it seems like the owner is comparing the current time with the end time of Ragnarok. As you work your way through the level, you can see all these demonic style ritual signs everywhere throughout the club, like this painted star in the middle of the dance floor. Throughout the game, they would add these different type of enemies you had to fight with the normal mob thugs as well. There would be these guys in trench coats that kind of looked like Neo or Morpheus from the Matrix. They looked pretty cool. They even had sunglasses on. It was really cool fighting those guys. Working further into the nightclub, you can see even more ritual type books and posters spread out on the tables and the walls. You can even see this painting on the wall here that looks like it's painted in blood. You got this like skull here, the star, the broken heart, even the candles here spread out through the room. They added a kind of demonic, satanic ritual feel to the level. They make it apparent that the owner of this place is kind of into cults. He's a cult leader and he's not completely all there. So now Max kind of knows this guy Lupino is a cultist. They did a good job on this club. It was very enjoyable to play. I felt like the nightclub was being ran by demonic cultists. They did a good job portraying that idea into the level.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual. I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
Yeah, but we have another big drug deal going on here with briefcases and money, and the Valkyr drug is kind of just chilling on the table. So this kind of tells us that we're kind of in the right place, and this guy here is part of the trafficking of Valkyr, with boxes of Valkyr being everywhere here in the club. This game does an amazing job with the snow. I feel like a key signature scene that Max Payne has is that light snowfall scene with the city lights kind of humming in the background. As you work your way through this club, through the stairs here, you move upward and gain access to the rooftops. Now that you're outside, you can see the weather to the city, and the snow starts to just drizzle down. This is just one example, but this game does a great job at creating that thematic feel of the city. As you move through the rooftops, you begin to work into this area where you're now backstage of the nightclub, where they have all the instruments and stage equipment. Moving from backstage, you finally enter this area where it kind of seems like the owner will be at. There's like this ritual taking place in the middle of the room here, with this book at the center on this stand and these 3 dead corpses around the book. So it seems like some form of sacrificial ritual was being done here.
Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Baphomet, Lucifer, Loki, Cthulhu, Lilith, Hela, blood given to you all.
He was after that old Faustian deal. Your soul for power and fortune. Just signing the dotted line with your blood.
You can hear him in the other room through the walls praising and chanting all these different demonic deities.
The flesh of fallen angels, come to me all. Astaroth, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Baphomet, Lucifer, Loki, Satan, Cthulhu, Lilith, Ella. Blood to you all. Secrets living under the skin of reality. I've seen it. The corruption of flesh.
We get it, bro. We get it, bro. So you finally get into the room where it looks like this guy is at. You can see that there's this like huge bowl of blood in the middle of the room with like this demonic fucking sign around the bowl, right? This was a great boss fight. Like I said before, I really did enjoy how this game handled the boss fights where they just throw a shitload of enemies at you and you kind of just have to blast through all of them and eventually get to the boss. It just feels like an epic battle where you're playing this badass and have to mow your way through all these thugs to get to the boss. I feel like they did an amazing job with the boss fights. All right, this guy here, we're gonna talk about this guy, Jack Lupino. All right, this guy here, Jack Lupino. Like the casting for this guy here, I just feel like this guy was a little off for me. He's got this like buzz cut thing going on, looks like a psychopath. He has this tattoo on his face that kind of looks out of place. Yeah, the choices of faces to the characters of the game wasn't to its fullest potential for me. Like, it could have been better. So you got this guy kind of chanting about all these demonic deities. He's the owner of the club. He also works with the mob with slinging this drug, and then you have him look like this, like a skinhead. The tattoo feels a little out of place too for me. I just feel like the casting here is just, the choice of dialogue throughout the whole game isn't bad. The plot, the story isn't bad. There are just some instances where the dialogue for me was sprinkled with too much metaphoric poetry that would break that immersion into the game, but overall the story's alright. It just feels like the casting here was something they just pieced together and ran with instead of putting any real thought into it and thinking it the whole way through. When I think about a club owner that is trying to sell his soul to demonic entities and is working with the mob to traffic drugs, I don't think of a young skinhead type of dude with a black flame tattoo on his face doing this type of stuff. Even the theme itself to the room is very vampiric. It has this like kind of Castlevania type of feel. With this guy here, man, with this character here, they could have just went with some sophisticated dude in his 40s that kind of looked like Jordan Peterson, and it would have been spot on. Like I said, I feel like the characters here for this game were something they just kind of scrapped together and were like, you know what, we're gonna use the devs and we're just gonna run with it. We're gonna do this shit live, man. We're gonna do this shit live. We're gonna use the fucking devs and we're just gonna run with this shit. That's what we're doing. So I really do feel like a lot of these characters here weren't done to their fullest potential. If it wasn't something that wasn't supposed to be taken serious, it's passable. But I feel like a lot of these characters' faces here with these cutscenes that were just too out of place for the theme of the game.
When Lupino finally went down, I wanted to make real sure he'd stay that way.
I think he's dead already.
And then we meet this chick. We have this cliche stare down where they're pointing their guns at each other. I've never really understood these type of stare downs, you know, like even in the movies, like you find someone and then you just hold up your gun at them and no one fires a single shot mutually after having killed like 100 people in a fucking single room. I really don't know who the the Don is. So it seems like the Mafia Don is the head of a mafia family, also known as the boss or the Godfather. The word Don comes from the Italian word for boss. So she turns out to be the twin of the mafia boss's wife. She tells us that the guy we just killed, the demonic cult leader Jack Lupino, isn't the guy that got his DEA partner Alex killed. It was the mafia boss, Angelo. She tells us that she has sources and she knows for a fact, and she wants to kill him as well for abusing her twin sister, which is also Angelo's wife. So it turns out they kind of agree to put their guns down and have a chat over whiskey about it. She ends up poisoning Max Payne. She didn't want him to try killing Angelo and have her sister get killed in the aftermath, probably by Angelo. Max Payne gets fucking drugged here and gets knocked out, and then we have the nightmare level. I remember this shit. Then after Max Payne gets drugged or poisoned here, we kind of have this like nightmare dream type of thing, and this level was well done. I really liked how they opened up with you know, like the warping of the camera, where you're walking down the hallways, you're walking through the rooms, and the camera lens would just warp, right? And it would warp outwards to add to that kind of like hallucinating type of feel, right? It added a lot to the level, making it feel like nightmarish. It added a lot to the feeling of, you know, Max Payne was being drugged. You can hear the wife just like whimpering in the background with the cries of the baby. Yeah, this level was fucking like, it was pretty disturbing to play, man. And like they did an amazing job with the atmosphere, the level design. Like I'm telling you, man, like this shit was creepy to play. It felt like you were like living through a fucking nightmare, man. A comedian, huh?
Should have known it when we found you snoring next to Lupino's corpse. A comedian, huh?
Yeah, so like then you can have these like little cut scenes here where you can see that like Max Payne is he's like tied to a chair and he's being, I guess, threatened unconscious by the thugs. And then we work your way through the nightmare, and you can see that, oh, Max Payne is reliving moments of the house where his wife died and his baby died. Then we kind of go through this like little jump quest type of thing where you kind of have to balance your way through these little narrow sections here. So, you know, and you're having to hear the fucking baby cry in the background, the wife crying as well. We enter this next room here where it's the baby room, right? We enter this baby room. Like Max Payne, he's reliving the nightmare that his family died. You see like he's getting interrogated and shit. So yeah, this section right here, segmented in a way where you're kind of trying to work to getting to your wife's diary or whatever. Getting to your wife's like written letter. The first time you get introduced to this like nightmare section of the game, it really isn't that big of a deal. It's very one directional, simple little navigating little jump quest where you just navigate through the level and you just have to deal with the mom crying and the baby fucking crying, and you just have to kind of navigate through this very simplistic little jump quest slash navigational quest. This one right here isn't the problem. It's the second time you get to do this. The second instance of this, of where you actually get fucking like injected with Valkyrie or some shit. That second instance is fucking terrible, bro. But this first instance is not that bad. But then we kind of have this scene where it's kind of implied that Max ended up killing his wife.
Max, no, please, Max. Why? I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
Murderer! You killed her!
We hear Max's wife kind of crying and sobbing in the background, trying to reason with Max. And then we cut to this clip here of Max shooting his gun in the bedroom of his house, right? So this kind of implies here that Max ended up killing his wife with her crying and sobbing and trying to reason with Max. And then Max Payne kind of wakes up and he's being interrogated by a thug. You get hit in the back of the head with a baseball bat. There has to be some permanent damage, dude. I don't know, like he hits Max Payne. So Max Payne here gets hit 3 times with a bat. All right, let me look at this, man. So Max Payne here gets hit with a wooden bat 3 times. Once in the back of the fucking head, another time on the chin, and a 3rd time in the back of the head. Obviously, this guy, whoever's swinging his bat, like these are critical hits, man. Like Max Payne has to be missing some teeth here, man. He needs to be missing some teeth here, like at least some brain damage. You ain't survive. I just feel like, you know, you're not surviving this shit, man. Like you get hit 3 times in the head like this, and you tank it like a boss. I just don't know, man. And then after 3 hits, he says, I like cartoons, and then he's like, I need to take a leak, and maybe let's take a break.
Nothing wrong with a little laugh now and then. Take me, for example. I love to watch cartoons. Cartoon violence is a fascinating thing. Let's take a break. I need to take a leak and maybe grab a cold one at the bar.
Let's take a break. after 3 swings? Come on, bro. What level of endurance is that, man? What the fuck is that endurance, bro? After 3 swings, you take a break? Come on, bro. I like to watch cartoons. I like this guy's face. I like this guy's character though. Like this guy right here. Like this guy right here, I buy as a mob thug. You know, like look at this scene here. Look at the guy's face. Like this guy here could be an Italian mob thug. You know, like this guy right here is spot on with the character. What he's saying, everything. Like you piece it together. Oh, you know what? Like that is like an Italian mob thug. This guy, they did a great job casting this guy. So you know, Max Payne, he breaks out of this chair, you know, the cliche break out of the chair like it was nothing, right? Like that shit was being held down by strings and fucking office tape, right? Like he breaks to the chair, and then now we only have a bat. Now this is the only instance where the bat serves any real purpose. So you have this bat, all your guns are taken away, and now you have this bat. This is the only real instance where a melee weapon really served any purpose. It only lasts for a brief moment. Once you kill somebody, you pick up their gun, and then you can kind of just work your arsenal back in. So it's just, I don't know. It's just whatever. Like this is the only instance where the melee weapon had any purpose. This section was good though, however. So you kind of have to like navigate a little bit and kind of have to find an opening with these thugs that are kind of walking in a circle in this area. You have to piece a group off so you can get a gun. Then you can kind of go back to the normal flow of the game. It was a good little small break of the constant gunfighting, but it only lasts for a brief like minute or so. So then you like kind of move through this warehouse, and as you go further into the warehouse, you start to see all these like pieces of meat on the tables, pieces of meats being hung. This obviously is like a butcher house, right? Like a meat packaging facility where they're packaging all this meat. From that area, you exit out, you go into the city. You see like the truck here as well. When you exit into the city, it's always snowing, right? It's a good feel. You can see all the shops. The city feels alive. Even though the game is linear, it feels alive. You can see the shops. You can see all the graffiti. You hear sirens in the background. Like, they did a good job designing the levels. And then you find yourself walking back into the hotel, the prostitute house. And you can see that it's kind of being taped up by the police. And there are a couple police officers dead outside. So you re-enter the hotel. So it turns out the chick that we got poisoned by, she got caught. So she tried to kill Angela, right? The Don of the Mafia. And you can hear this guy over the phone. He's talking to somebody and he's telling them that, you know, they ended up catching her before she could kill him. You work your way through the thugs and you rework your way through the hotel. And Max Payne, he was framed by the Mafia for having killed his partner, right? And the Mafia, you know, well, obviously wants this dude dead.
Max Payne should die like a dog for the trouble he's caused.
The cops think he's dead.
That Max Payne was also among those killed, although no body has been recovered at this time.
So, you know, you work your way through the hotel again. And this time you can see that like, everything's kind of been scrubbed by the police, kind of processed by the police. You see this like no trespassing tape all over the place.
The Puppy Who Lost His Way by Chrissy Taylor. One fine morning, a puppy popped his puppy paws out of his puppy house.
Max Payne ends up finding Frankie, the guy that was beating him with the baseball bat. You can see Max Payne here, he's just holding a bat in the scene, even though he has a fucking gun and he could just be blasting this dude right now and just ending him. But I guess he just, you know, it's just for the thematics of the game, right? The thematics of the scene, right? Oh, you know, Max Payne holding a baseball bat. Now it's his turn to beat the shit out of Frankie, right? It's whatever, man. Fine by me. This is a pretty cool boss fight. This is pretty tough. He has these dual SMGs, and there's a pretty good boss fight here, man. Like, you know, ducking a cover, and then you have to kind of like navigate around and kind of get those shots in. You see him right here, like on the ground. This tie on, all dead. Got those like white eyes. Max Payne, so he ends up, you know, taking a car drive for whatever reason. And then he ends up spotting the same car that he saw before that ended up doing a car bomb.
A bomb went off, turning snow into liquid gold. A pillar of fire lifted the remains of a car straight up into the air. The flames were highlighted on the hood of a black Mercedes-Benz as it coasted down the street real slow.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Max Payne ends up stumbling on Vladimir here, and Vladimir, he's kind of he's a part of like the Russian mob or something, right? And he's into like doing like gun deals, I guess. Vladimir ends up giving Max Payne an offer, right? This guy, he's at war with Angelo Punciello, right? It turns out the captain of the cargo ship, this guy right here named Boris Dime, has ended up switching sides, and the captain is now doing business with Angelo. This ship, the cargo ship, is loaded with a bunch of guns and hardware. It's really bad for Vladimir's business. If Angelo Punciello gets a hold of all this arsenal, Vladimir will lose, or he'll end up losing this war he has with Angelo. So Vladimir, he's saying, you know, if you kill the captain of the cargo ship and put the ship back in Vladimir's name, he'll end up giving him a bunch of guns. Also, Vladimir says that if the captain of the cargo ship ends up doing business with Angelo, then it's just going to be harder for Max Payne as well. So not only by killing this guy is it going to help Max Payne, but it's going to also help Vladimir. So he says, like, you know what, like if you kill this guy, it's going to benefit you in the future because Angelo won't have access to any of this arsenal, right? So Vladimir suggests, hey, you know, if we do this deal and you kill the captain and you give me the ship, I'll let you have all the guns you want, and Angelo won't be getting access to any of this weaponry. So it'll be easier for you to get to Angelo. So now Max Payne, he has another objective, which is to work to the cargo ship and kill this captain.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
So you work through the port here. You go through these different porting facilities where they're moving all this cargo. A bunch of thugs kind of spread out throughout the port, and then you enter this bigger cargo facility where they're moving these shipping containers. So you could go into this hidden cargo container. You find this like briefcase full of money and a letter, and then you get access to the sniper rifle. And it turns out Rico, the previous mob boss that was getting blown,
Oh, Rico, you're so bad.
I am. Ain't I?
he wanted to do a hit on the mayor. And then we have the sniper rifle. We can end up using the sniper rifle, which is pretty strong, pretty fun to use.
What we're gonna do is this. First we pitch him Disney, AT&T, IBM, blue chip stocks exclusively. Companies these people know. Once we've suckered them in, we unload the dog shit. The pink sheets, the penny stocks, where we make the money. 50% commission, baby.
Move further into the port. We move into this warehouse. We have this other section here where we have to navigate through this shipping container type of navigator, right? This section here kind of stalled out a bit for me. Like, we kind of have to use this shipping container navigator to kind of move through the map and piece apart different enemies kind of spread out throughout the whole level. This was kind of fun and kind of a good break from having to just constantly just be on the move. It slowed the game down a little bit, but it was a good form of variety to kind of break that constant gun battle. Like, I didn't really care for this section here, but I can see the reasoning why they would put this in here, just to give us that break from that constant gun battle. And then we enter into another warehouse facility. And then we can kind of come across this gated area here. Thugs have their the whiskey and all the ammo kind of laid out on the table, just to kind of add to the atmosphere of the thugs. The cargo fighting sections were all right. They were okay. They were kind of like a neutral part of the game. Finally get to the porting dock of the cargo ship. So now we kind of fight our way onto the ship. We move into the steering area of the boat now that is just infested with these mob thugs, right? So there's this phone call in the ship, and it's Angelo Punciello.
Angie.
So, Max Payne, he kind of just he just pisses Angelo off by just trolling his ass.
When your arm gets here, just let go. Just let go. It's that easy.
I really did enjoy fighting through the ship, though. Fighting through the ship was pretty fun. All the enemies kind of in these tight areas, and you kind of have to navigate into the ship. It was enjoyable. And then we finally get to Dime here. It was an alright fight, nothing too crazy. And you know, he just has a bunch of thugs around him, and you kind of have to just grind through the thugs to get to him. But once you put Boris Dime down, you can go to the back here and open up this door, and you can see that it's just filled to the fucking teeth with just ammo and guns and explosives. So Vladimir wasn't lying. This place was stacked, right? Then we get this like perfectly timed call from Vladimir. Tells us you did an amazing job. You know what? Get all the guns that you want and meet him on the bridge of the ship.
You know how to handle yourself. Anybody who says different is calling me a liar. Vladimir here. Collect all the guns and ammo you want. Meet me on the bridge afterwards.
So Max Payne ends up making his way to meet Vladimir. Vladimir ends up saying, you know what, you did an amazing job. Anything that you need in the future, just let me know. And Payne is just like, you know what, I gotta do this solo. But Vladimir here he kind of becomes friends with Max. So Max Payne ends up coming to the conclusion that even with all these guns that he's gotten from the cargo ship, he won't be able to infiltrate Angelo's house. Maybe he can kind of trick Angelo into thinking that he wants to do a deal and that Angelo's won, and he wants to see if he can kind of like trick Angelo into doing a deal. And Angelo ends up saying to meet him at a restaurant, right? Meet him at his restaurant. So Max Payne goes to the restaurant and meets him, right? And it turns out the whole place is just being blasted. It's just strapped bombs everywhere. And you work your way through the restaurant that's just exploding. It was a fucking trap. Obviously, it was a fucking trap. So, you know, Max Payne was kind of wrong, and Angelo wasn't there, and the place was strapped with bombs. And the restaurant goes off, and you have to just navigate through the whole entire restaurant exploding, work your way through the levels, not be set on fire, not to be caught in these explosions. And it was pretty badass. I really did enjoy this level, you know, having to work through the whole level exploding, you know. It was pretty cool, really enjoyable, really thematic. And as you work further into the kitchen, you can kind of like access the bottom side of the restaurant. Then you can kind of see this, like there's this latch that's open that leads to the sewer. Underneath this restaurant, Angelo has access to like the sewers, right, as an escape route. And then you kind of work your way through the sewers, fighting a bunch of thugs that are just planted everywhere. As Max Payne leaves the sewers, he ends up coming across Vladimir again. Vladimir ends up seeing like the smoke signals. Vladimir here ends up dropping Max Payne off to Angelo's house.
The trick in my situation was that there was no trick, no matter what the movies tell you. No rules, no secret mantra, no roadmap. It wasn't about how smart or how good you were. It was chaos and luck. And anyone who thought different was a fool. All you could do was to hang on madly, as long and as hard as you could.
That was one of the better lines. It was chaos and luck. And anyone who thought different was a fool. You see that line right there? That was one of the better lines, to be honest. I think that was one of the better lines. All you could do was to hang on madly, as long as hard as you could. These two lines here were one of the better lines out there. Max Payne gets dropped off at Angelo's house. I guess Max Payne didn't want to do this in the beginning because he felt like it was a little too hard, and he wanted to see if he can do it a little easier way, take care of Angelo at an easier location. But it turns out that, you know, Max Payne was wrong. Angelo didn't want to come to a deal. It was a trap. So now Max Payne is at Angelo's house. As Max Payne is working through the outside of Angelo's house, he sees that the back door is kind of open, and someone is already taking care of the guards at the back door. He pieced it together. It was probably Mona, the girl that drugged him. Max Payne ends up talking about these 3 bodyguards that Angelo has that are probably like high mob officials, right?
The pistol was a frozen lump in my hand.
The pistol was a frozen lump in my hand. The pistol was a frozen lump in my hand.
So now we kind of have to work our way through the house. Bottom side of the house, the basement here. We open this door and we can see like a thug fucking dead on a table with the words "soon" painted on this piece of paper or board on the back of the thug. Max Payne kind of pieces it together and is like, this is Mona's doing right here. We work our way through the basement, and the house is just littered with thugs, a bunch of mob thugs guarding Angelo. Then we finally enter the house, right? We enter the actual house, moving from the basement to the kitchen. Yeah, just a bunch of thugs, man. So, you know, you kind of enter the kitchen and there's like these tarot cards on the table. Max Payne kind of pieces it together that it's maybe Lisa is probably doing this. You essentially just work through the house and have to just kill all of Angelo's bodyguards, and then you have to kill his higher ranked bodyguards as well, those 3 guys. They're just kind of spread out throughout the whole house. This house level here was an amazing Amazing gunfight. I really liked how everything was kind of spread out. The higher ranked bodyguards were kind of just acted as like a kind of like a mini boss. Really fluid experience. It's just an epic battle, man. Like really epic fights. Navigating the house is fucking amazing. It's pretty cool. You got these like pianos. It's all fancy. You got plants everywhere. You just have to mow through all these thugs that are kind of like placed behind doors and in corners of a room. Yeah, it was really cool. You know, you just kind of have to work your way through this Victorian house that is decorated in a fancy way. So all those 3 high-ranking bodyguards that you have to fight in this house, they're pretty tough, man. They're a little tanky, you know, take some good damage. It was very enjoyable to play against them. You got this like fancy restroom here with this like painting above a bathtub of like a sea minotaur. And we find this dead corpse on this bed. Max can't really distinguish whether it's Lisa or Mona because they're twins, right? And we got these paintings on the wall. Like the design of the house was amazingly done. It felt like a Victorian house. It felt like a mobster's house. So Max Payne gets this phone call. So this is kind of crazy, right? How the fuck does Max Payne get a phone call in Angelo Punciello's house from Alfred Wooden that tells him that there's an armed helicopter that landed outside that are coming for him? It makes no fucking sense, man. You move forward throughout the house and you have this like library section here that was pretty well done. All these dressers feels very Victorian. And we finally get to Punciello, right? We finally get to Angelo Punciello after having to go through all that shit, after having to kill all those thugs and work through the whole house, this huge house. You see, like, this is a good one right here, right? This is a good one right here. You see this? The moment I stepped into the room, he folded like a deuce before a royal flush. That was very good. That was a very good simile. He was trying to buy more sand for his hourglass. I wasn't selling any. You see, that was a good one right there. Like, that was a good figurative, metaphorical sentence. It wasn't overcomplicated. It wasn't kind of just bombarded with all these unnecessary adjectives and shit. Max Payne is threatening Angelo here. A bunch of guys come in with sunglasses and suits, and they kill Angelo. After you take care of him and leave the room, this is what happens.
Drop it. Don't move.
Game over, Max Payne. Be a good boy now.
So we see this old bitch. She's holding a gun with a bunch of clones, I guess. All these 3 dudes look exactly the same. She just looks at us like ominously, holding up a syringe, and then tells us, be a good boy now. And then Max kind of flinches, and then he gets injected with Valkyr, right? He's be a good boy now, and just injects his ass. I mean, I'm not sure if he let that shit happen willingly or nobody's holding Max down here. I mean, you gonna just let this old bitch come up to you and inject you with Valkyr? So, like, that's something else too. It's like, it's kind of crazy, right? So it's just like, instead of killing this guy right now, she had the opportunity just to put this fucker down. She had the opportunity just to end Max Payne. Just to put this fucker down. Clean out the problem, kill Max Payne, and just be over with it. But she decides to get him high.
Be a good boy now.
The fuck is this, right? She decides to go, you know what, man? I'm gonna shoot his ass up. I'm gonna shoot his ass up. That's kind of crazy, right? If this drug makes people kind of go insane, it makes them kind of go insane. Instead of killing this guy, you inject him with the fucking highly addictive drug that is like linked to violence. I just don't know, man. Like, makes no fucking sense. Like, oh, you know, you're a fucking huge problem for me. You've killed like thousands of my fucking men just to kind of get to the fucking source. Get to the fucking source of Valkyr. Now that you're here, you know, instead of ending your ass right here, blowing your fucking head clean off with a goddamn shotgun, I'm just gonna inject your ass with Valkyr. I'm just gonna get you high, let you go through Cloud 9 and bust a load.
Be a good boy now.
Like, it makes no fucking sense, dude. In reality, this dude would be fucking dead right now. You'll find that Lady Luck was really a hooker, and you were fresh out of cash. That was a good one. Another good one. So Max Payne ends up getting drugged again, and she injects Valkyr into him. So now that Max Payne got drugged, this is a second instance of having to go through the nightmare sequence, right? Where you have to kind of like navigate through these rooms where the lens is kind of turned outward and it's wide. The atmospheric tone of this level here was amazing. Feels creepy, kind of like going through this hallucination. Feels very kind of like demonic. Feels very scary, very ominous, and it was really well done. You visit the house in the nightmare. We work your way to the baby room again, and then you can kind of see that there's these these blood stains on the door and the walls. Yeah, this cutscene of where Max is in front of his wife. She's screaming out, "Where are you, Max?"
Max? Where are you, Max? Please.
And then you kind of come back into the area where you started at. You kind of come back to Angelo's office room again, and you can kind of see everything is on fire, and there's like this phone call. And then Max answers the phone call. Let's see what happens.
You're in a graphic novel.
The truth split my skull open, a glaring green light washing the lies away. All of my past was just fragmented still shots, words hanging in the air like balloons. I was in a graphic novel. Funny as hell. It was the most horrible thing I could think of.
So, obviously Max Payne is like, he's kind of hallucinating on this Valkyr drug now, right? Everybody loves that scene where they kind of break that fourth wall. Like, that scene was pretty well put into the game. Max is kind of hallucinating on this drug, and then he kind of breaks the fourth wall, right? Like, this is one of those rare instances where I think the fourth wall breaking was properly placed. Very rarely do you kind of find these instances where people break the fourth wall reasonably and understandably, and this is probably one of the more prime examples of doing it the right way. It was masterfully added into the game. We have another scene here where he breaks the fourth wall again.
You're in a computer game, Max.
The truth was a burning green crack through my brain, weapon statistics hanging in the air glimpsed out of the corner of my eye, endless repetition of the act of shooting, time slowing down to show off my moves, the paranoid feel of someone controlling my every step. I was in a computer game. Funny as hell, it was the most horrible thing I could think of.
And then you rework your way through the house again, and then you re-enter this section where the walls are kind of just splattered with blood, and you have to navigate this jump quest here. This section here was fucking dog shit, man. It was like, this shit here was fucking terrible, man. Like, this probably is this is the worst section in the whole game right here. This level right here is the worst section of the whole game. Why is it the worst section of the whole game? It's just because of the gliding. You jump and then you can't land, and it's because you have to do all this shit with like this creepy ass fucking baby crying in the background with the wife. Yeah, this fucking baby just constantly fucking crying, doesn't shut the fuck up. You have the wife sobbing in the background as well. So it's like it's a very simplistic thing, right? This puzzle, this jump quest here is very simple. You kind of just navigate these narrow paths here, and you're trying to find the exit, right? This jump quest here, I feel like this is probably one of the worst sections in my opinion, right? Like, this is probably one of the more annoying sections in the game. Having to navigate these narrow pathways and kind of jump across. You'll end up kind of like sliding and falling off, and can't really position yourself the correct way to kind of get to the place you need to land. It just makes it kind of annoying and hard to kind of traverse the jump quests. So like, after having played the game and everything and rewatching all this, I can see what the developers were trying to do. Like, I think that these pathways here kind of symbolize like brain pathways, like you connecting the thoughts of the murder for Max. This level here symbolizes like Max connecting the thoughts of the past, connecting the pathways in his brain so that he realizes the truth of what he did. That was kind of the idea behind this level that the devs did, was that this level here was supposed to symbolize Max connecting the pathways in his head to remembering what he did. It looks like that to me. But this whole section was kind of annoying to play. It was just a little hard to kind of navigate through, frustrating to kind of navigate through. And you have to do all this under like blood-stained snow kind of drizzling down, and the baby fucking crying in the background, and the wife fucking crying in the background. It was really creepy, man. I was playing this at night, and it was pretty damn creepy. And there was a point where, if you end up going the wrong way, the baby ends up just fucking screaming so damn loud. So you hit like a dead end, and you kind of have to backtrack and kind of like try to figure out, okay, what is it that I have to do to get the fuck out of this place, right? Because you obviously don't want to fucking be here. So after you deal with that fucking baby crying, you kind of navigate through these paths. You end up finding this center stage here where it's just covered in blood and candles. You got a bunch of candles and surrounding the baby crib, right? Nothing out of the ordinary. We cut to the scene of Max now confronting himself, where a copy of Max is standing over his wife's dead body, right? The copy of Max ends up saying, "Stop, you murdered her." So then we hear like Max's wife cry out one more time, and then you can just hear a bunch of gun firing go off. It just completely implies here that Max is responsible for killing his wife, right? Max is the reason why his wife is dead. Max Payne ends up killing his wife, right? He's the reason why his wife died. In Max Payne 1, does Max Payne kill his wife? It implies here again that, you know, Max is responsible for his wife's death, right? People like to argue that, oh, you know, he's just hallucinating, he's just this and that. The first time I played this game, it's heavily implied that Max Payne could be the reason why his wife died, right? The level, like, look at that pathway level. That level there, the nightmare level, is Max going through this jump quest where he has to jump to these platforms that are blood stained, that look like neurons. They look like brain pathways in the brain. So I think the devs here kind of tried to imply that Max Payne probably killed his family, right? It's there, like. Man, listen to that voice actress. She did an amazing job. Best fucking voice acting in the whole damn game. You can really hear that emotion in her voice, man. The distress, the confusion, the panic. You can hear the betrayal in her voice. The murder in her voice. Amazing job, man. Probably some of the best voice acting I've ever heard, period, man. You could really hear that distress in her voice. The confusion. This girl right here, she does not get enough credit, man. And then Max finally wakes up from the fucking nightmare, right? He finally wakes up from the fucking fever dream, and then we get to fucking play the actual game, right? And they did an amazing job on the atmosphere, 100%. Like, that level, they did an amazing job on the atmosphere. Before he got knocked out, went into the dream, before he went into the nightmare, he overheard her tell her guards, take her to Cold Steel. So that was the clue that Max Payne was working off of. So he drives to this Cold Steel building, right?
In the belly of the plant, molten metal boiled and bubbled like a witch's brew.
This guy has to be retarded. I don't know, like look at that dude. Like, bro, how do you not see that, man? So now that we're at the building, we kind of have to work our way to the bitch that drugged us. You can see like the whole place is like booby trapped with laser tripwire bombs here. The whole place is like booby trapped. So, you know, you work further into the level. So you just have to work and kind of like navigate through the level, through all these traps.
Out in the night, snow fell like confetti over the Devil's Parade. The storm was anything but over.
That was a pretty good one right there. I like that one right there, you know. Snow fell like confetti over the Devil's Parade. That was a pretty good play on words, man. That was a pretty good, you know, simile, pretty good play on words. You gotta infiltrate this factory and get to the old hag that drugged you. The place is just kind of littered with a bunch of guards. The factory, you can see that they're kind of working with like molten steel. You work further through the factory, and the place is just, yeah, like I said before, just kind of littered with guards and a bunch of booby traps. Oh, you got this little scene right here too where you can overhear these guys talking.
Can you believe it? I bet they sleep with their rifles. I bet they've given them names.
I guess. So, you don't have a name for your gun?
Hello? Hell no. You do?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Hey, let's hear it.
Well, I call it Dick Justice.
I rest my case.
Be a good boy now.
You get to interact with his walkie-talkie and you end up hearing that now the guards know that Max Payne has infiltrated the facility.
Perimeter breached. The facility has been compromised. Repeat, the Deep Six has been compromised. Initiate Operation Deadeye.
Max Payne ends up finding this like file where a mercenary has documented one of the chemists tried smuggling out some of the drugs.
Merchandise missing again. A chemist had tried to smuggle it out for his own private party.
Locked him up in cell B7 in D6's old test facility to wait for proper processing.
From that break room, you just continue to work through the factory, right? You work through all the booby traps, work through the steel meals, bunch of guards, epic fights throughout this whole level, a bunch of good fights. The guards are just sprinkled everywhere, and you're constantly having to just gunfight your way through this factory. It was very fun, very enjoyable, pretty badass. So this is another section right here where you open up this door, and then you end up seeing that like now you're kind of like in a furnace. Like you're in this like furnace section right here. That's kind of crazy. Like there's fucking booby traps within the furnace section right here. Dude, are these booby traps so fucking heat resilient that they don't fucking just completely combust under these fucking heats? I don't even think a human being could fucking navigate through this pathway. They just fucking die of just heat exposure, man. Instantaneously just get fried up like a piece of fried chicken with the flames hugging your fucking face. Ah, man, that shit means nothing, bro. And you kind of have to work through the furnace section here. That section was kind of interesting. You go into this other facility. This section here was pretty long. Like the whole steel mill section was pretty long. Working through the factory, working through the steel mill. Quite long level. Wasn't really the best level in the game, but it was okay. It was pretty good. Then we finally get to this elevator, hit the elevator, and a bunch of sirens go off, and then you have to fucking work your way through a bunch of guards that come out of the elevator, right? So you kill the guards, you move up the elevator.
You can't do this! My men are still inside!
Do you have any idea why this is called Operation Deadeyes?
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. The afternoon, we lay awake in bed. It laughs so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again.
You can't do this! My men are still inside!
Do you have any idea why this is called Operation Deadeyes?
Pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be, we're gonna be two hearts running wild. It was the best we ever had, and we'll stay on forever. We'll never have regrets. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. We're gonna be, we're gonna be two hearts running wild.
I think he's dead already. Let's do it.
Attention all personnel.
self-destruction sequence has been initiated. Evacuate the complex
We've got
immediately.
company.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool scene though. I like that scene. That was a pretty cool scene though. My men are still inside. You have any idea why this is called Operation Dead Eyes? You have to kill these like FBI agents, right? You have to kill these like FBI/CIA government agents. Now the guards are being fucking cleaned by the fucking government, right? Or by the CIA or by the FBI. Some other organization is cleaning out the facility. You know, Max Payne, he ends up seeing this plaque on the floor and he's like, oh, I've seen that plaque before. I've seen that symbol before. This used to be an old army base facility. He connects these dots and he's just like, this symbol here, I've seen it all throughout the city. Instead of a sword, it was a syringe. He's connecting like this government facility with the drug Valkyr. And he ends up like connecting these dots. This military facility here might be responsible for this Valkyr drug. Project Valhalla, V for Valkyr, V for Valhalla. So he ends up saying like, oh man, this is like turning out to be like a conspiracy theory because the government might be responsible for this drug that's been destroying the city. And the same drug that got his wife killed. You kind of work from this like indented stadium section here into the labs. Now we finally get to this section where things kind of take a turn. Things kind of become more of like a science lab type of feel, right? We change that vibe of the game, right? We change the vibe of the level. And the guards are just everywhere throughout the labs. You can see like dead scientists on the floor in their lab coats. Pretty cool. Now you got to work to the lab. Broken computers. You navigate through opening up these doors with the computers. So yeah, and finding this like computer that's still functional from one of the scientists that died, and it has like the code 665 on it.
He died. The half-life of the lab rat had ended online, his password blinking on the screen. 665. The neighbor of the beast.
Max Payne ends up saying, oh, you know, the neighbor of the beast, right? Neighbor of the beast. Because, you know, 666, the beast, and 665 is like the neighbor to the beast, right? It's one off. The neighbor of the beast. And the government is trying to explode this place. The government's trying to clean out this whole entire place. You got this one dude infiltrating the place so hard by himself to the point where the fucking government is like, dude, we can't even take care of this guy. He's so fucking destructive. He's so on his mission that we gotta self-destruct this place. Nobody can take this guy down. It's like this fucker is literally like Mr. Manhattan or something. It's fucking absolutely crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy, right? You got one dude infiltrating this place and you make the decision, you know what? We gotta fucking clean this whole place. We gotta self-destruct. We gotta destroy the whole fucking building for just one dude infiltrating that you can't take care of. You can't take care of this one fucking dude. So you end up just saying, you know what? We gotta destroy the whole fucking place.
Perimeter breached. The facility has been compromised. Repeat, the Deep Six has been compromised. Initiate Operation Deadeyes.
You can't do this. My men are still inside.
Do you have any idea why this is called Operation Deadeyes?
A heart speed.
That's fucking crazy, bro. That's absolutely crazy. But, you know, I get it. It's for the fucking theme of the game. It's actually hella crazy, right? One dude infiltrates your place, and you're like, well, now the place has been infiltrated, and even though this guy's fucking mortal, we're just gonna, you know what, throw the towel in and just gonna self-destruct this whole entire place. Fuck it, man. We can't take care of this guy. We're just gonna nuke the whole place, man. Fuck it. That's fucking crazy, bro. And then you got these like sirens going off throughout the whole level, and this like voice intercom screaming out. The self-destruct sequence has been started. So this place is obviously working through the process of being self-destructed. So you go into this elevator and you move further down into the lab, and you can see that there's like a bunch of cells with like junkies and people kind of hallucinating. You find one of these cells that has a scientist. So Max Payne, he ends up convincing this scientist that he needs his help to get into the decontamination chamber. So you kind of fight through a bunch of guards and help him get to that computer. And then once he's at the computer, you go into this like decontamination chamber. He helps you get in. You can hear him dying in the other room too. And then you have this like a little section here where you can see like a scientist get fucking mowed down by a bunch of guards. So now you work into this other facility where now you're kind of in the lab. Like you're kind of in this lab section where there's like a bunch of computers and different instruments that they're using to kind of measure and document all their results. So you work further down into the lab. So you go into this other section right here from the elevator, and it's just fucking strapped with booby traps and laser tripwires everywhere. You see a couple dead scientists on the floor, and this place is just completely fucking booby trapped, right? The true question is who fucking booby trapped this place? Who the fuck went through this intricate fucking dance across this whole fucking room and placed all these booby traps? You try to trigger all these booby traps and navigate through the room. You find this computer here with the same insignia, the same symbol that you saw before on the floor, the Valhalla government insignia, the thing with the V, right? The symbol with the V. Max Payne interacts with the computer. He ends up looking up everything that he can. He ends up reading on these files that say, you know, Valhalla, the place in mythology where heroes go and fight and feast forever. Their wounds miraculously heal and they fight all day. And then this file goes that says like Valkyr, the maidens who chose the greatest Viking warriors and carried them to Valhalla. Like the computer here links this whole project to the fucking army. Confirms Max Payne's suspicion this was an army facility. Valkyr was a word in mythology to describe the maidens who carried the courageous Vikings that died to Valhalla. Goes deeper into the files. He finds this like project. The army is trying to create a chemical substance that increases stamina and morale of the soldiers. They're trying to essentially create super soldiers. The army is trying to create super soldiers. So in 1991, the project started, and then it says 1995, the results were unsatisfactory, and the project was canceled. And then he ends up saying that, you know, someone here decided to continue the experiment unauthorized because it was previously canceled. Then he finds this other file that says that the project was compromised, and there was a data leak to fix the problem immediately. Field tests, doubling the dosage of all the remaining test subjects, and observe and record all the subjects and their behavior in an urban setting. And the drop-off point ended up being Max Payne's old house where he and his family lived. That happened 3 years ago. So Max Payne, he ends up connecting the dots, and he ends up connecting his morality to this, and he goes, you know what, now everything I did has been justifiable. Now he's fucking owed revenge, right? He wants revenge for the destruction that this drug, this project has done to his life. Now you kind of have to work out of this place. Now Max Payne, he's still trying to work to the lady, the bitch that drugged him. So, you know, this place is going through a self-destruct sequence, and so Max Payne has to get the hell out of here, right? Rework his way out of this place. You go back into the decontamination chamber, and it's like completely locked. So this is a pretty cool section here. So Max Payne, he has to work his way out of this place because it's self-destructing. It's completely locked. You can't get out because it's completely fucking locked. And the only way for you to get out of this place is for you to shoot some of the booby traps or shoot some of the claymores that someone put here, right? You just navigated this place and someone here put fucking booby traps. You worked your way deeper into the lab, and then once you come back out and the place is armed with booby traps again, who the fuck did this? So the only way for you to get out of this decontamination chamber is for you to shoot one of the booby traps that chain an explosion, and it explodes the door off. Now you have to like kind of beat the clock. You got the self-destruct sequence being played on the intercom by the announcer, counting down, telling you how many more seconds you have. So you essentially just gotta like work through this facility before the bomb explodes. You move into the elevator, you just by the skin of your teeth, you just beat the explosion. This little vent in the elevator comes falling down. You just beat the explosion by the skin of your teeth. Then you get this like cool ass shot of Max Payne coming out of the elevator with an explosion in the background like a badass. You just see like Max Payne, he's like running out of the elevator with this big ass explosion in the background looking like a badass. Then we cut to this cutscene. Max Payne, he ends up saying that he connected in his mind that the people responsible for killing his family were the junkies being supported by this Valhalla project by the government, by the army. Now he has a clear goal in his mind, and it's just to fucking kill the bitch that authorized the resurrection of the project, an endless supply of weak old donuts. Max Payne, he essentially doesn't know where to search now. He doesn't know where this chick is at, but he knows he has to kill her, right? Then he's like kind of like lost a bit, and he doesn't know where to go. So then he gets this like message from BB at a coffee shop.
What the hell happened at Roscoe Street? Maxie, I'm going out on a limb here. We need to talk this through, come up with a plan. 2:30 a.m., the Choir Communications Garage.
Where BB kind of wants to meet up with him and discuss what the fuck's going on. And BB is one of Max's partners, is one of Max's connections in the DEA. So he wants to meet up at a garage. He tells him the location, right? And then Max Payne kind of connects some more dots in his head where he's just like, you know, Alex dying in the way that he did. Max feels like it was an inside job, and now he feels like BB's gonna backstab him for some reason. Max Payne, you know, he kind of like interrogates and questions BB here, telling, you know, BB, hey, you know, you fucking backstabbing bastard, you fucking killed Alex, you're a fucking dirty cop, you're a backstabbing bastard. And then like BB kind of just like leads him on a little bit, saying, oh, you can't win this one, man, you can't win this one, Max.
You can't win this one, Max.
You know, offers him a cigar, and he like, you know, BB kind of just leads him on, saying like, you don't know how big this is, man. This is a big deal, right? It's a big ass deal. Max is like, you know, you fucking bent ass cop, dirty fucking cop. And he's like, you know what? This is what probably Alex went through because you're so fucking dirty. You probably the reason why he got killed. Max here just kind of, he ends up convincing himself that, you know, BB turns out to be another cardboard cutout bad guy. As Max Payne is having this conversation with BB, a fucking car that was parked comes driving up, almost hitting Max Payne. BB gets inside the car, right? So it kind of confirms the whole thing, you know, BB, the fucking backstabbing bastard, fucking rat motherfucker, and you know, he deserves to be put down, being a dirty cop, fucking cuck ass piece of shit. But yeah, he deserves to be put down, like, for being a dirty fucking cop, man. So as you know, this car kind of fucking drives off. Does a crazy ass tail whip. So now Max has to work through all these fucking thugs that are working with BB. I feel like all these levels here with the city components were so well done. I really did enjoy playing all these levels, you know, within apartments. It was really enjoyable. It was really city-like, and it felt like you were kind of part of the city, part of the world. But this was a pretty good section here as well. I really did enjoy this section. I enjoyed this parking section here more than the Still Mill and more than the Science Labs. So essentially, you kind of just work through this parking lot building here. You're trying to exit the parking lot building. A bunch of thugs hiding behind cars. It was very enjoyable to play at this level. Bunch of mob thugs, man, just like all over the place. Parking lot section here is heavily guarded. It's heavily stacked. It is a pretty big parking lot that you kind of have to navigate down. But once you navigate down, you kind of you end up seeing BB ends up getting in an accident with this Jeep here. They crash the car. There's like this big ass explosion, and then you can see this guy kind of comes out with a shotgun. And then like you kind of have to search for BB. You have to fight through all BB's bodyguards. Pretty tough. They're all rocking the same gun, an automatic shotgun. We finally find BB, right? And you know it's BB because you can hear him like trash talking your ass in the background. You can hear his ass like whispering in your fucking ears.
Maxie, Maxie, Maxie. Come out wherever you are.
And you know BB here is pretty fucking tough. Throwing nades, he ends up shooting you with that automatic shotgun. It was a pretty badass fight to have with BB. I enjoyed killing this guy. Maxie. And then Max, after killing BB, Max gets his phone call on another payphone. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Max Payne?
Whatever does it for you.
This is Alfred Wooden. I can give you the name of your enemy. Come to the Asgard building presently. We are expecting you.
So that's kind of crazy, right? After he kills BB at the bottom of a fucking parking lot, he gets a call from Alfred Wooden. All right, that's fucking crazy, right? After he fucking kills BB in the bottom of a fucking parking lot, we get this call on a random ass payphone from Alfred Wooden. Like, obviously this guy has connections, right? This guy obviously has fucking connections. I don't know how the fuck he can pinpoint these calls at the perfect fucking moments on payphones, right? So Max Payne ends up going to the Asgard building. He ends up meeting Alfred Wooden. Yeah, Alfred Wooden ends up taking him to this fucking Asgard building that predates the fucking the city hall by 2 years. So it's like this old ass building. He takes him to go meet his colleagues, which he calls the fucking inner circle, right? These guys are obviously like some part of some form of like fucking Illuminati, right? And Alfred Wooden ends up saying like, oh, you've seen the Project Valhalla files. We can help you fill in those gaps with the files and all the information that you're missing. We can help you fill in those gaps so that you understand everything better. We all here were involved with the project in its early days, back in the Gulf War. And he ends up saying, oh, we would like to blow this thing wide open, but his hands are tied. What's up with his glasses though? Like, is he missing a lens? Like, I feel like, are those broken glasses? Like, are those sunglasses missing a lens? I didn't catch that the first time I played, but so he tells us her name, right? It's Nicole Horn. She was a key figure in Project Valhalla. And when the funding stopped for the project, she just refused to quit. She still wanted to work on the project. She saw the value in the project. She turns out to be the president of like this Acer corporation. And she essentially she controls like half the fucking city in New York. And he ends up saying, oh, you know, if you go public with this information, we're going to deny any form of acknowledgement. And he's like, we just need you to kill her ass. We don't want you to go public with this information and tell everybody about this. We just need her ass dead. And then he's like, oh, afterwards, we can protect you, man, and make all the charges go away. In this middle of conversation that Max Payne is having with Alfred Wooden, you got these like guys with sunglasses and suits come busting through the fucking door and just start blasting, right? And they fucking just kill everybody in the room, right? Max Payne, he ends up jumping out a window and there's just like big ass explosion. So it seems like here that those guys just got clean sweeped, right? So now it seems like that chick, Nicole Thorne. She just cleaned out Alfred Wooden's whole fucking inner circle, and now they're just coming for Max Payne. Now Max Payne just has to navigate out of this Asgard building. This level was pretty badass to play as well. You know, you go into this inner bunker right here, you work your way from the bottom side of the building. You got to go through all these tunnels, fight all these like guards or hitmen. Now you got to work to the fucking house that is just completely armed with all these guards, man. This is a pretty badass room right here. You go into the room and you got all these like surveillance monitors everywhere and a bunch of guns everywhere. So it's like a surveillance room. So as Max Payne goes into this surveillance room, he ends up seeing one of the monitors that had the footage of the hit that just got taking place in that room. It shows like the whole inner circle dead and just Alfred Wooden getting up and just shrugs off everything that just happened. He faked getting shot, right? And it turns out this dude only has one eye too. That's something else. Like it turns out he had only one eye, and that's the reason why his sunglasses look like that, because he just has fucking one eye. It just turns out Alfred Wooden, he was in on the whole thing. The footage shows him getting up and just shrugging everything off and just walking off. So he fucking faked getting killed, right? So the hit was just to kill his inner circle and to kill fucking Max Payne. So, you know, you leave this surveillance room, you work your way further out of this building, and you just have to fight a whole bunch of guards everywhere in the building. And it kind of feels like this whole place kind of feels like a historical building, like a library or like a governmental building. This building that you're navigating out feels like a government building. Empty hallways and historical pillars throughout the whole building. So the place feels very historical. It was well designed. I enjoyed playing this level too. This was a good like form of variety with the level design. And then you kind of move into this office cubicle section here, and you kind of have to kill all these guards that are kind of around the corners of the office cubicle. And then you got like the fucking lead deputy over here, the lead fucking sheriff, going off about how he wants to stop Max Payne, and Max Payne is a fucking criminal.
This crusade nonsense has gone too far. He's out of control. It must stop. He will be stopped.
We're gonna stop Max Payne. We gotta stop his ass. He's out of control. Yada yada yada. Same bullshit he's been saying the whole fucking game, but hasn't done jack fucking shit because we haven't even seen one fucking cop throughout this whole fucking game. So you work out of this cubicle, move into like these office sections here. It turned out Nicole Horn just fucking blackmailed the whole inner circle into silence and Alfred Wooden. He ends up finding a blackmail letter towards Alfred Wooden in a tape. And then he ends up remembering, you know, the hooker back in the motel. She ended up recording all her clients through a secret wall, and then she ended up selling those VHS tapes to the highest bidder in this like black market, right? So he ends up connecting the dots like, oh, this is probably some fucking sex tape or some dirt on Alfred Wooden that was used as blackmail. And then Max Payne ends up taking the fucking tape himself. He's like, I had a feeling that when this was over, any collateral would come in handy, right? So he ends up taking the fucking tape that he might have to use later on for collateral. So he ends up finding Alfred Wooden's desk, and it turns out Alfred Wooden has like, he left this thing here on his desk that showed his mission preps, like everything that he needed to know to kill Nicole Thorne. And it's like a military precise fucking blueprint of Nicole Thorne's, her building, with all the critical areas kind of highlighted and circled. And the blueprints show Max Payne where the president office was at the top of the building. So this kind of implies that, you know, Alfred Wooden, he was trying to really help us, but he was kind of in on the hit. I guess he's kind of playing this like smoke and mirrors things with like Nicole, I guess. It turns out Alfred Wooden really does kind of want Nicole dead. Like he really does kind of want Nicole Thorne dead. And he kind of had to play into the whole assassination attempt, right? The whole assassination attempt. I guess Alfred Wooden here is trying to play both sides, right? He's trying to play Nicole and he's trying to play Max Payne, right? Alfred Wooden wants Nicole dead, and the only way he can do that is through helping Max Payne, but he doesn't want to die to Nicole, right? He probably organized a hit, got Max Payne into the room, told Max Payne all this shit, and then once he gave the signal for Nicole's hitman to come in, they came in and they tried to kill everybody, right? I think Alfred Wooden here tried to just play both sides. Now you work out of Alfred Wooden's fucking like office area. You're still trying to get out of this fucking building. You kind of have to like navigate down these stairs, and now you're really just trying to get the fuck out of this damn building, fighting a hole through a bunch of guards, going through these like long hallways, and then as you just fight wave of bodyguards. This section here was pretty enjoyable too, you know, having to navigate through different rooms with the security doors. You finally enter this exit section of the building, but it turns out the doors are locked by the security mechanism, and so you have to find another way out. And you see that there's like another door here opened up, and that says the word exit above. You go through that exit, and it's just like a long tunnel. You just go through the tunnel, you fight your way through all these guards. Then you kind of go into this room full files from the Inner Circle. And Max Payne goes off about saying that Inner Circle, they were involved with a bunch of different conspiracy theories, a bunch of different projects. The Inner Circle here has been fucking pulling the strings in the shadows for years, and they've been a part of a whole bunch of different conspiracy projects or whatever. So Max Payne ends up saying here that, oh, he doesn't blame Alfred Woodin for doing what he did. Alfred Woodin probably he wanted to kill everybody in the Inner Circle. He wanted everybody in the Inner Circle dead. He pieces it together himself that maybe Alfred Woodin just wants me to fucking just kill Nicole Thorne and just clean everything, right? He wanted Max Payne on cleanup duty to kill Nicole Thorne, to just clean everything up. So you work through this file cabinet location. You still find through a whole bunch of different guards and government agents. Work your way out of the file cabinet location into this library. Fight through a whole bunch of thugs that are dropping down from the ceiling from these zip wires. Work your way up these stairs to leave the library. Get a whole bunch of government agents come out of the doors and you end up fighting them. You go into this like briefing room with a whole bunch of chairs and a small little podium in the front. Then you got like government agents coming out through this other door. You end up killing those guys, move forward. You go into this circular balcony type of room. There's some art in the middle of the room on the ceiling and these like old classical pillars on the side of the balcony. You fight through more guards and government agents, and you're still trying to just work out of this building, get the hell out of here. This section here was pretty fun though. I really did enjoy this level. And then you work your way through this balcony section here into another room. You can end up hearing these government agents talking.
CIA, FBI, you've seen one, you've seen them all. Sure, good for a practice run. But this, working for her, oh, this is the real thing. The money's astronomical. And best of all, you get to kill any scumbag who gets in your way. License to kill, like James Bond.
You enter this like presentation room filled with chairs and a table and with the projector screen in the middle of the room. You leave that room and then you finally enter this fucking room. It looks like it's gonna be the exit room that's being guarded by a whole bunch of government agents. And you just kind of fucking have to blast through these guys and get explosions going off. The statue in the middle of the room that falls down. And you just kind of have to blast through all these goddamn agents and actually get the hell out of this goddamn building. This was a pretty cool fight though. I really like this fight. This is a pretty badass fight. You fight these government agents and then you finally gain access to the exit of this building and now you can leave. As Max Payne leaves, he ends up taking his time. He's just cruising around the city in the snow, just thinking about, he's trying to digest all this shit and actually trying to think of a plan to go kill this bitch. He goes off saying he took the time to build up the rage, build up the fucking motivation to go kill this bitch. When he was ready, he went to the Acer Corporation building where Nicole was at, and he just parks his fucking stolen car that he has in the front of the building, and now he's ready to work through the fucking building. 10,000 bullets with her name on them? That's kind of excessive, but alright. Sleek, sexy, and soulless. Yeah, that sounds about right. So now Max Payne, he's entered the Acer Corporation building.
Colder than a walk-in fridge. Cold as a gun.
Colder than a walk-in fridge. Colder than a gun. Alright, man, I get you, Max Payne. So now we have to work through this Acer Corporation building. I like the music to this level. This level had some pretty good music. This level was alright, you know, like it was an okay level. The enemies that you end up fighting throughout this level are a little tougher than the rest of the enemies that you've played against. It was pretty enjoyable. So, you know, you go through this little entrance section here through the metal detectors and everything, and like an alarm gets set off, a bunch of guards come out, and you have to just kind of blast through the guards. And then we have this little section right here where we have this like balcony. There's a bunch of guards on this like podium down this hallway that you have to shoot with a sniper rifle to take care of them because they take a shitload of damage. Yeah, these guys are pretty tough. They're pretty damn tough. Take a lot of damage. You have to take care of them with a sniper rifle. And then once you take care of them, you move up this stairway that's just armed with booby traps. And then you go into this other section here. Yeah, it's just a bunch of guards. You have to work through the building that is just completely armed with guards. They're tougher than all the other enemies that you've played against. So they're a little challenging. They're pretty fun to play against. We enter this section where there's this hallway that has just nothing but tripwires and laser explosives down this whole hallway. And you kind of have to just navigate through this hallway without setting off any of the traps. Then we confront more guards, take care of those guys, move forward. So as we reach this elevator section here, Max hits the elevator button, and then we have this cutscene right here where he meets Mona again. And Nicole Thorne over the fucking intercom ends up saying, "Oh, there'd be a cold day in hell before I let a narc cop stop my ass." She ends up saying, "Oh, Sax, do your job." She essentially just tells Lisa to go kill Max. And then Lisa ends up saying, "Oh, you know, Max, you're a nice guy. I don't kill nice guys." She just kind of being flirtatious towards Max. And then Max ends up saying, "You're not bad yourself," you know, kind of reciprocating the whole the behavior, right? She ends up saying that Punch Yellow deserved to die, but she kind of felt sorry for Max. Like, she didn't want to kill Max because Max doesn't deserve to die. And then Max ends up saying Nicole Thorne is a terrible fucking person and she deserves to die. He has this like inner dialogue with himself again, where he's like, he could see it in her face that her sister was like kind of whispering in her ear for Max's favor, right? This gunfire ends up happening, and then Lisa Sax gets fucking shot in the head, right? It looks like she got shot in the head, right? You know, Max evidently ducks, and he just skips the fucking bullet, man. He refuses to die, dude.
No!
Man, that fucking no is so bad. And then he's like, the gunshots boomed and she fell down in slow motion.
The gunshot boomed and she fell down in slow motion. She was a nice girl, not really a stone cold killer. And now she was stone cold dead.
Come on, man. Is that necessary? Come on, Max. Control yourself, bro. Control yourself. She was a nice girl, not really a stone cold killer. And now she was stone cold dead. Who says this shit in this predicament? That's your inner dialogue? That's the inner dialogue you have, bro? You fucking psychopath, man. Who the fuck thinks this shit? She was a nice girl, you know, she wasn't a stone cold killer. All right, man, I refuse to believe that shit. Bro, Max, you're a fucking stone cold killer, man. Lisa here gets shot in the head, right? And now she appears to be dead in the elevator. She gets shot and it looks like she's dead in the elevator, right? Elevator closes and now a bunch of guards are just coming after Max. You have to just fight against this huge wave of agents that are on your ass. After you take care of those guys, Max has another look into the elevator. As the elevator comes back down, he ends up seeing that Mona's body is completely gone. There was a lot of blood, but no body. So it seems like Mona, she got shot here, but she ended up living, right? It wasn't fatal. She ended up living and then walking away, which is kind of a dick move, right? I mean, so she probably, you know, ended up getting shot, and as she was just like chilling there in the elevator, she hit the button. She took the ride all the way up or all the way down and just essentially just left, right? Yeah, this is another inner dialogue session.
Something clicked for the final time. My mind had never been so clear, as if somewhere high above the storm clouds were already gone, cold stars blazing from the black skies.
Something is clicked with Max Payne, right? I'm not sure what this like inner dialogue session even means, like why he's had this kind of epiphany, because Mona lived, right? It appears to be that Mona fucking lived. We don't know if it was intentional, which that makes no sense as well, right? Like why the fuck? So he has this like inner dialogue session right here, and I really don't know what this means. Is it because Mona ended up living and it's kind of let him have this like solace moment? Or is it that like Mona tried playing both sides as well, like Alfred Wooden? I mean, I don't know what this fucking means. Like, I really don't know what this fucking means. Had never been so clear, as if somewhere high above the storm clouds were already gone. Cold stars blazing from the black skies. So, like, what form of epiphany is this? Like, did Lisa try to play both sides as well here? Or is he just happy Lisa lived? Because Lisa could have killed Max, right? But she chose not to, and she ends up getting shot and she just ends up living. I mean, it's just fucking whatever. Or maybe she's a part of Alfred Wooden, right? Maybe Lisa and Alfred Wooden are working together. There's really no clear definitive. For me, working off of this single game here, looking at this, there is no clear definition for what the fuck this even means. So Max ends up just taking the elevator up. This is a pretty cool section. I like this little section right here where you're moving up the elevator and there's laser bombs strapped in the tunnel of the elevator. You have to shoot the bombs before you end up passing them. I like this little section here. I thought it was kind of creative and kind of fun, you know, kind of adds to the whole place kind of being booby trapped. I like this section right here though, but the true question is who the fuck did this? That's the true question. Who the fuck went up or down this narrow ass elevator shaft and ended up strapping these bombs? It's like they have like a gymnast or fucking like elite rock climber do this type of shit. But it's just like, I'm not sure who's going through all this hassle. I'm not sure who's going through all this hassle to strap this place full of booby traps. Like, who's doing this? Once you take care of all the booby traps and move out of the elevator, there's still just a bunch of fucking guards you have to take care of. And then you have this like little bullet time conversation with the guards.
You know what I'm talking about. In all the cool action movies, and I'm talking about the coolest of the cool, it always seems like time slows down in the middle of the action. You know, you can see the bullets flying through the air, the hero dodging in slow motion. Oh man, it would be so cool to be able to do that. Bullet time, that's what they call it. Bullet time, yeah.
So once you take care of these guards, and you end up just, you know, continuously just kind of work through the level, moving through the intersections of the Acer Corporation building. You have this little section here where there's like a bunch of computers and monitors that you have to kind of interact with to get access to another elevator. You fight your way through a whole bunch of different guards. You move into another elevator that ends up moving you down for some reason. And then you have this little interaction with the helicopter that ends up shooting at you. And then you kind of have to navigate into this other elevator and avoid being shot by the helicopter. And then you take this other elevator that takes you further down. You take care of these guards, and then you enter like this mainframe room. And Max Payne is just trying to gain access to like the elevators that he needs to get to Nicole Thorne. In this section here, you just fight through a whole bunch of guards, and then you kind of just have to destroy the mainframe. You have to destroy this server. Once Max Payne takes care of this server here, this mainframe server, he gains unrestricted access to taking the elevator all the way up to Nicole Thorne. He goes into the elevator and it takes him all the way up. And now you can kind of see that we're like above the city, on the top of the skyscraper, and there's still just a bunch of guards. Really fun section though. I really like this section. This section was pretty cool. It's pretty good as well. And then Max Payne takes these stairs. He gets access to Nicole Thorne's personal computer.
Next to the printer was a neat stack of expensive paper. Hacking through Horne's computer would have unearthed files of criminal plans, strategies for world domination, spy helicopter reports, illegal wiretap recordings, internet porno, all of the above. Take your pick. I really didn't care anymore. I had seen too much of it already.
World domination. Damn. So that's kind of crazy, right? So like, I'm trying to get into the head of Max Payne, right? I'm trying to get in the head of Max Payne. So he finds Nicole Thorne's personal computer, right? And he ends up going off about talking about how he can find all this criminalizing information on Nicole Thorne on this computer. It's kind of miraculous that this place even still has like electricity in a way, because Max Payne is over here destroying everything under the sun, right? He's destroying fucking servers, he's pushing all these buttons, and he's essentially just kind of destroying the fucking building, right? You got a helicopter outside shooting at an elevator to get to Max. It's kind of a miracle that this computer here is still fucking running. He ends up saying, oh man, hacking through Horne's computer here would unravel all these criminalizing things on her, right? And then instead of like saying to himself, you know, this could be a good like fallout piece for me, right? Like this is legitimate proof for his case. If he wants to survive this in the end, because the cops think he's a murderer, the cops don't know jack shit about any of this. He's essentially going off of conspiracy theories, right? Because the inner circle, Alfred Wooden ended up saying she's a part of Project Valhalla, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, don't go public with this information. If you go public with this information, we're not going to back you in any of this shit. Because he knows that this shit's fucking crazy. Like, this is classified information. This is a fucking conspiracy theory. And it's like classified information. And there's no proof backing any of this shit. And here it is. The proof is in her fucking computer of everything. The conspiracy theory, all these fucking terrible things, her porn, all that crazy shit, right? And the decision he makes is to fucking blast the computer. Like, how fucking stupid do you have to be where you're just like, the only thing that could be your saving grace in the end of all this shit, if you wanted to live and actually kind of stand a chance in the justice system, because, you know, you've killed how many people to get to this bitch? And there's no redeeming factor in any of this shit except the whole thing that she's been a part of this huge conspiracy theory, all these illegal conspiracy projects she's been doing, all these fucking terrible tragedies, killings, injecting people with drugs, spreading drugs throughout the whole city. So you have no proof of her doing any of this shit. You have no physical proof of any of this shit. You're essentially working off of like shit that you've seen that's already been destroyed. And you're working off of like Alfred Wooden telling you this shit. So you go to the base, you infiltrate Cold Steel. They end up busting Operation Deadeyes. They nuke the whole place. So you find this computer in Cold Steel as it's going through a self-destruct sequence, as it's going through Operation Deadeyes. it fucking explodes with all the proof there is in the world. So now you're just a fucking vigilante. Like, no, now you're just some fucking lunatic working off of conspiracy theories, killing hundreds, if not thousands of people to get to the CEO of a corporation. And now that you've worked through her building and you've kind of seen like a twinkle of proof that could be used in a case to defend your ass from the judicial system, the first thing that comes in mind is you fucking shoot the computer. Max Payne, fucking retard. So Max Payne moves away from the personal computer and ends up going to this other room. And we have this cutscene. This is another thing that I kind of want to work off of real quick. Max Payne ends up saying Valkyrie was supposed to be a drug that took you to the warrior's heaven. But then he ends up saying that it turned out to be a demon ride to hell, and the devil was in the drug, and he knew it, and he met it. And then he showed a picture of him and his wife, right? Let's kind of piece this together here, right? So he ends up saying, but it turned out to be a one-way demon ride to hell. The devil was in the drug. I knew I had met him. The devil was in the drug because he got injected with Valkyrie, right? And he said, I knew I had met him. And then he shows a picture of him looking over his wife. If the devil is symbolic to the most evil shit you could probably do, let's think about this real quick. The devil is supposed to symbolize the most evil thing you can possibly do in this world, right? And he says, I knew I had met him. And then it pans to him and his wife. You can go, well, he was just reflecting off of his wife dying. He was just reflecting on the beautiful marriage he's had with his wife and his kid, and he's just walling over his family dying. But let's take another angle at this. Let's look at another angle at this. The more predominant angle that's been kind of fucking forced down our throats in this goddamn game. He ended up saying it turned out to be a one-way demon ride to hell. Hell is supposed to be a place of torture, right? His existence. The devil was in the drug. The devil is supposed to be the being that is the embodiment of evil in this world, right? The being that is capable of doing the most evil thing. And then he says, I knew I had met him. And then he shows a picture of him looking at his family. Max Payne knows he killed his family. And he's looking at the devil himself, which is him. He became the devil and he killed his family. Plain and simple, cut and dry. Everything else in this whole fucking series of Max Payne, look, man, I haven't even played the second or third one. I could tell you this game is working off of Max Payne being the sole killer of his family. He's fucking hallucinating. He's been fucking on this wild goose chase, essentially, to kill the fucking person that got this drug out there. You know, Max Payne here is just kind of, he's reflecting over him killing Nicole Thorne. So she ends up saying, all this because your wife stuck her nose into things that were none of her business. Max goes off talking about how he can hear the cop sirens in the background. You know, Nicole Thorne seems to be like the only fucking person here with some actual logical sense, and ends up saying, it's ridiculous you have made it this far. You won't be alive when they get here. So at least she's kind of acknowledging the fact that it's kind of fucking crazy Max Payne has done this, right? Like, no human being could do this. Which is another point to back the whole super soldier thing. Max Payne is a rogue fucking super soldier, bro. Max Payne is a rogue super soldier that I guess is working under the mercy of Alfred Wooden. I don't know. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, how else does Alfred Wooden know where this dude is at like 24/7? You can't land fucking payphone calls like that without being chipped. You have to be fucking chipped, man. You're not landing a payphone in the bottom of a fucking parking lot after you complete an objective from the fucking person that you need. To be honest, Max Payne is a rogue super soldier. The most like realistic, like if you were to piece all this shit together and actually try to come to like a logical consensus to all this shit, the most logical thing is that Max Payne is a rogue super soldier working under the shadow of Alfred Wooden that killed his family under the direct control of Valkyrie by Nicole Thorne. Nicole Thorne and Alfred Wooden this whole time have been fighting over control of Max Payne. That's essentially it. And if the game didn't go off of that, look, if Max Payne 2 and Max Payne 3 didn't work off that consensus, they did a terrible job because that's a fucking beautiful plot line. Beautiful plot. But I've already kind of I've caught little breezes of the second and third game, and I can already tell they didn't do that because they're fucking retarded, right? And now Max Payne, the trilogy of Max Payne is probably already dead. Like, I don't really know much about Max Payne 2 or 3. The Max Payne saga is kind of dying off. It's probably because they just didn't tackle it the right way, in the right angle, because it's just being too plain. Like, they decided just to, because they lack creativity, they lack any balls to actually do anything that actually has like some grit. After Nicole Thorne ends up briefly talking to Max Payne, a bunch of guard agents come through the doors and end up opening one of the gates. End up throwing a grenade. Max Payne just has to end up fighting through these guys, and he's still working through he's still on his mission. He's still trying to just fucking kill Nicole Thorne. These guys are pretty good. They like this fight as well. This fight was pretty cool. After you take care of the guards, side of the building opens up. This metal window curtain kind of unravels, and the helicopter is outside of the building, right outside the skyscraper, just blasting inside the building. Right, it's kind of crazy, like the amount of damage they're willing to do to kill fucking Max Payne. Right, it's hella crazy. As the helicopter comes blasting through the windows, you gotta hide behind this statue. You don't hit a button or anything like that, but miraculously the window curtains come back down, almost like as if someone did that. Right, almost like if there was some outside force that was manipulating the window curtains. Right, well, the helicopter didn't do that shit. Why the fuck would the helicopter reseal the window curtains when he's trying to fucking kill Max Payne? Let's move forward. Right, let's move forward. So the window curtains come back down, and then you have Nicole Thorne over the intercom. She ends up saying all this shit.
Max Payne, you are fighting a losing battle. You cannot survive this.
She ends up saying, oh, you're fighting a losing battle. You cannot survive this. I mean, have we not seen what Max Payne has done this whole... Like, she's bear witness to everything Max Payne has done. She should be feeling the fear of God through her fucking building. I don't know how she's come up with this idea that Max Payne is, like, gonna be completely stopped without any form of resistance, right? Because this dude's obviously doing the unthinkable. She sounds like a snake there, too, as well. She looks like a snake, to be honest. Like, she looks like a hag that's a snake. He ends up entering this other room that's like a library room, shelves stacked with books. They got the ladder in the room as well. So it's a kind of a big, like, personal library. And now Max, he exits out to his balcony section here, and he has to work on the side of the building and kind of hug the side of the balcony rail to get to the other side of the building. And the helicopter comes cutting the corner of the building and just ends up blasting at Max Payne. You kind of have to jump a little bit to avoid a couple of the shots, but I don't know how this fucker didn't land a single shot. You can't walk straight across. You have to dolphin jump. If you dolphin jump, he misses, like, all his bullets. So you get to the other side of the building. You go through the balcony, and you can kind of see, like, there's this, like, mini museum. She's still chanting off in the intercom saying, you're going against an unstoppable force, you've already lost, yada yada yada, the same shit she's been saying the whole time. Yeah, she ends up saying you've already lost. Death is the only thing that will set you free. Give up.
You have lost. Only death will set you free from your pain. Accept it. Surrender. Give up.
So, Max Payne, he's still working through this building, kind of in this, like, personalized museum that she has, filled with paintings. This place is just fucking littered with so many damn agents. But it was a great experience. I love the gunfights in this game. Really badass. The whole bullet time aspect of it adds a good flair that just makes everything kind of pleasant to play against. Kind of makes everything pleasant to kind of navigate through. You take care of these guys, you move further through the painted museum, you move up these stairs, you enter the second floor. It's kind of crazy, like, this building is kind of crazy how the whole structure is laid out, where there's like a map of the world on the side of the room. He finds this table here with a couple briefing chairs in front of it and a bunch of monitors in front of it. He ends up finding this, like, hidden desk button on the side of the table, ends up hitting it, ends up opening up a secret door. You move up the secret door, you go down the long, cool hallway that is lit red by these lights, and then Nicole Thorne just opens up the door down the hallway and just starts blasting down the hallway with an SMG. Don't know how the fuck no one here is, like, landing any shots, right? How the fuck do you miss landing critical shots down a narrow pathway? It's whatever though, right? We're in a video game, man. Max Payne opens the door to the hallway. Nicole Thorne just is fucking booking it. She's straight up booking it. You can clearly see Max Payne shoots the bitch in the arm, right? He shoots the bitch in the arm once, but she's still walking that shit off like it was nothing. She's just walking that shit off like Max Payne just threw a snowball at her ass. She's a champ too. She's probably, she's probably high on Valkyrie right now, going through Cloud 9 right now. So she tanks the shot like a boss, and then she goes through this, like, little door here. We get this shot of the helicopter that's flying above, where the pilot ends up saying, we're gonna attempt to land, but it's gonna be tricky. We get this, like, shot of this, like, radio tower on top of the building, right? Being held by these industrial wires holding radio tower in place, and one of them snaps. One of the wires end up snapping. The door that Nicole Thorne went through ends up being locked, so you can't access that. You can't access that door to get to her. So you kind of have to figure out another way out to get to her ass. I really like this section. I really think this is a cool way of, I don't mind this. Like, I don't think this is necessarily bad. So you have to get to Nicole Thorne. You have to find a way to stop the helicopter. There's a little subtle form of guidance with, you know, showing you the radio tower and then showing you when the wire snaps. I don't really mind this ending, to be honest. I actually think they did this ending right. I think they ended it the right way, where the boss is leaving, she's on this helicopter. It's very thematic. I really do like that. This is a perfect example of showing you that the ending of every game doesn't need to be some epic fucking battle to the death where you're fighting this huge tank sponge. A game doesn't need to be that all the fucking time. You know, you work your way through this building just blasting through all these fucking thugs. A huge gun battle, right? Of just moving through levels, moving through server rooms, destroying servers. And then now you're kind of finally faced with the boss and she's running away. She's getting into the helicopter. And the way you get to her is you have to shoot these wires to break the wire that ends up ultimately leading to the radio tower falling down on top of the helicopter. I don't mind this. It's not that big of a deal. Like, this is, I feel like it was okay that they did this. They didn't have to make her a huge damage sponge where you just had to fucking fight her and just unload bullets into her. This is a good example of showing you that, you know, it's a layered thing. We already went through the grinding process with fighting through the whole building. The boss was the building. The boss was moving through the building and then getting to the finale. And then the finale was just to solve this small little puzzle that they lead you down to solve. And then you end up defeating the boss. The boss is the level. The boss is moving through the level. And then once you get to the end of the level, you just have to complete this small little sequence to finish it all off. So they did a good job on this. I really do feel strongly that this was good. This was good. They did it right, okay? So you have to end up shooting the wires that are holding the radio tower together. To take them off, you can hear the helicopter end up counting down. We're gonna take off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the tower ends up just completely falling on top of the helicopter. I enjoyed this ending. They did a good job on the ending. And boom, the helicopter explodes, boom. And the side of the helicopter pad just ends up falling into the side of the building. Max Payne ends up leaving through the doors like a badass, and then you have the music playing in the background. He's walking out slowly like a badass. You got the main theme playing in the background. You hear the cop sirens as well. You got the cops finally proving their worth. Finally, right? After years of fucking waiting for the cops to prove their worth. Crazy, man. Cops come busting into the doors. The camera just pans from the helicopter pad that's on fire, pans all the way up the side of the building, and then we've got the wind blowing on the mic. We get this like close-up shot of Max Payne, and Max Payne ends up saying,
"They were all dead." The final gunshot was an exclamation mark to everything that had led to this point. I released my finger from the trigger.
Yeah, no way in hell. No way in hell Max Payne is winning in this shit in court, bro. No fucking way this dude wins this shit in court, man. He doesn't have an ounce of proof of any of this shit. No way he's winning this shit in court, man. He looks into the helicopter fucking lights, a bit closer to heaven. Alright, man. Down below, New York City glittered like diamonds on black velvet. See, that was a good one right there. I like that one too. That was a pretty good one. You gave us one hell of a ride. Is it me or does that deputy look like he's like a kid in a suit? I just have to say it, man. Like, is it me or does the deputy sheriff look like a kid in a suit? Like, I've seen this guy somewhere before in a movie. I just don't know. I have to find him. Like, I've seen this guy's face in a movie. I've seen this cutout before in a movie. I just don't remember where I've seen it.
You gave us one hell of a ride.
You gave us one hell of a ride. I mean, that's reasonable. Yeah, to say that, yeah, he gave you one hell of a ride.
Take him down to central booking.
Take him down to central booking. Dude, I'd fucking kill this guy right here, right now. I mean, to be honest, like, you'd be doing the world a fucking favor if you put this dude down right now. Fucking to take him to central booking. I mean, fuck that, taking him to central booking. And this dude right now. They did a good job on his voice, though. I like that voice. I like the voice, I just don't like the face. So Max Payne, he ends up getting put into a police car, and a deputy goes off on him, and then he ends up seeing Alfred Wooden. And that's where it ends, man. It ends with that. It ends with Max Payne seeing Alfred Wooden in a crowd, all smug. And then Max Payne just being put in the back of a police car, just looking at the camera going, that made two of us. Feeling like he's won, like he finally won. And that's where the story of Max Payne 1 ends. All right.